Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this Radford City Schools School Board meeting for June 20th, 2023 to order. Can I please have a moment of silence? We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Boyd, would you like to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. We need to review and approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that board approve Board Vice Chair Jody Ray participation in this meeting from a remote location, specifically from Dublin, Virginia, due to a schedule conflict as provided for pursuant to Board Policy BDD and Virginia Code Section 2.2-3708.1.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So then we need to approve the agenda as a whole. All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We have recognitions tonight.
Madam Chair, if I could ask Coach Roberts and Parker Prelude to come forward, please.
Your microphone on. Phil.
So Parker's been here so much lately that we're just going to put him on the roll, okay? We just maybe start paying you.
Give me a name tag.
But you can see from all the accolades that Parker gets what a wonderful student he is, and just models what we really love in Radford City Schools is being a top-notch student, number one, and then also a fantastic athlete, and then a leader as well. And we appreciate everything that you've done. And Coach Roberts is going to talk to us about your latest accolade.
Well, this year was Parker's first year doing track, and he state qualified his very first jump in the season at our home meets, and then over the course of the year, sharing him with soccer and limited practice. But when he came out, he gave me everything he had, and then after we tweaked his steps a little bit leading up to his jump, he started jumping even further and further, and actually set the school record for long jump, which is 23 feet 4 inches, and then he used that was at Regents and State. I told him before I wanted him to make jaws drop when he jumped. He did that. He jumped 23 feet 2 inches and won by foot. So there was nobody that could touch him. So I'm proud of Parker. This is coached him twice in golf and then this year in track. So it's been an absolute pleasure.
So Parker, yeah.
This being the same meeting that you all are here.
We'll take a look at that.
Take a look at that real quick.
There's always a YouTube delay.
Is there a delay?
Echo from the gate that I can't control. Yes, I can do.
I'm
Completely unable to understand.
okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Trying a new thing.
So Parker is going to Emory and Henry College. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to look out for that one right over there, because she's going to Emory and Henry College too. Congratulations. We wish you the best.
All right, do we have a report of the student tonight?
We don't, but we have a couple other recognitions.
Okay.
So on June 15th, we received this letter from the Virginia Department of Education. I'll just read it to you. It says, Dear Mr. Graham, the announcement of the Exemplary Performance Award provides the Virginia Board of Education the opportunity to recognize schools, school divisions, or school boards for excellence in their high achievement, continuous improvement, or innovative practices. I am pleased to congratulate Radford City Public Schools for being selected to receive the 2022-2023 Virginia Board of Education's Innovative Practice Award. School divisions and school boards are recognized every 2 years for innovative practices based upon the following criteria: school or division-wide implementation of a new or creative evidence-based alternative to existing instructional or administrative practices in defined student population. The practices must be implemented for at least 2 full academic years. The goals and objectives for practice must align with one of the following priority areas: developing an integrated STEM approach to learning, building genuine relationships with families to support overall family well-being and children's healthy development, elevating the quality and character of the school environment so that it reflects the positive and support norms, goals, and values of the community, retaining high-quality teachers, and developing life-ready students through implementation of the profile of a graduate. As an Innovative Practice Award winner, the division has embraced innovative and creative practices to enhance student experiences. Innovation is a crucial component of 21st century schools and helps create and improve models of best practice. In recognition of this achievement, a digital certificate, which can be displayed on the school and division social media website, is attached to this correspondence. A report with the award recipients is being presented to the Virginia Board of Education at the June 15, 2023 business meeting. And a page on the Virginia Department of Education website lists your school as an award recipient. On behalf of the Virginia Department of Education, I'm elated to recognize school staff, students, and the community for being innovative leaders in the state of providing relevant experiences that have resulted in improved educational outcomes for all students. And it's signed Dr. Lisa Coons, who is the new state VDOA superintendent. And this is the award that you will see.
Is that it?
Well, I have one thing else to say, but I'm not going to be able to read it. I just want to say thank you all. My last meeting. Can you get this?
Absolutely.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Mr. Graham's given me permission to read it aloud.
She does everything in the school division anyway.
I would like to conclude this evening's recognitions by acknowledging those who have supported me during my 18 years in this very special school division. I have never missed a school board meeting, special called meeting, or emergency meeting over the past 13 years. So I'm hopeful that you will allow me to show my gratitude to this outstanding community for a tenure in this school system that I will never forget. It's okay. First, to my wife, Chris, and my daughters, Logan, Sophie, and Madison. We moved to Radford after being in Northern Virginia to have our children attend the Radford City School Division because I knew how special this place was from the time I was here as a student. Not only did they attend, each one of them succeeded at very high levels, and I'm very proud of all the accomplishments that they earned during their tenure as Bobcats. Their successes are due to this special school system, and Chris and I are grateful for that. More importantly, as I hiked with them this weekend on a Father's Day retreat, I thought I will never be able to repay them or their mother for the time I missed being with them as I perform the duties and responsibilities the job as a school superintendent requires. I will never forget the sacrifices they made to ensure I had all I needed to be a quality superintendent of the Radford City School Division. They supported me because I wanted to support you. I am grateful for the support I have been provided by this city and our school community. I don't think we would ever have earned the accolades we consistently received without this support. I continue to be amazed by this faculty, staff, and leadership team. There is no doubt that this is a special school system because of all they bring every minute of every day. As an example, I can remember being in Lindsay Lesko's room during her first year as an educator in RCPS. I remember a student just tearing her room apart And as she began her first year in RCPS, I was amazed at how calm she helped this child, while still taking care of the other students like it was a backyard picnic. These are the types of employees that we have in this school system, and I couldn't be more proud and also excited that they can continue making a difference in the lives of these special children. I will miss our leadership team. I could go into more detail about them, but I will probably get upset.
Already happened.
Too late. Which is not what I wanted to do this evening. Radford City Schools needs to move forward, and I want to help in any way possible to make this happen. Just know this is the best leadership team I've ever had the pleasure to work with. Dang it. And they are the reason that we will have some of the highest SOL scores in the state of Virginia this year and have been named the Youth Success Partner of the Year and Exemplary Innovative School Division in the last 2 months.
Need to hand it off?
I want to thank Ellen. Sorry, we've been together a long time. She and I have worked together since 2006. So I'm not even sure where to begin, and let's just move on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I am sure I know that I have tried to get, still there, her to move to Pulaski because I would crazy not to. Thank you, but I'm committed to RCPS, and that's why I'll stay. Because, and I'll say it from me, because I love the children and the teachers and the community in this division. I have 1 year to finish, and it will be here, but I'll be calling you a lot, and we'll have lunch all the time.
Okay. Sharkies.
Sure. Okay, all right. I can't read the rest of it, I'm sorry. Lastly, I want to thank the wonderful students and children of our CPS. I will keep their smiling faces and outstanding accomplishments in my memory forever. I will miss the school division more than you know. I always thought when I took this position I would be able to retire here, but unfortunately that is not possible. My wish as an outgoing superintendent is that our children become the priority again. They are special and deserve nothing but the best. Please know that I am just across the bridge and am available at any time. As Dr. Sears and I did before the pandemic, I am hopeful that the RCPS interim and hired superintendent will work together with PCPS to ensure we provide the students in the New River Valley with the best opportunities possible. Go Bobcats.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent items, we have our minutes. Has everyone gotten a chance to look at last month's minutes? The authority to appoint personnel, our bills and petty cash. Have any questions on those? Student activities, use of school facilities. Was there anything else? I don't think there was anything else.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And now the public comment section. This part of the meeting is reserved for public comments regarding items on our agenda or in regards to Radford City Schools. It is your opportunity to address the board. You're requested to keep your comments polite and courteous. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect to the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by your comments. Speakers should be aware that they may be held legally responsible if they make statements that violate the legal rights of others. For example, if statements that are made that are defamatory or threatening. Complaints about specific personnel, school personnel, are best addressed to school administration, who will address those concerns as appropriated through existing board complaint procedures. Please remember that you cannot mention specific student names during public comments. Comments likely to disrupt the board's work or prompt a breach of the peace are prohibited, and the speaker will be called out of order by the board chair. Please remember that debate during public comments is prohibited. For the record, please state your name and address. Public comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker at board meetings. And we've got a bunch of folks who are here in person. We also have a number that have been sent in, and I think we're going to start with the sent in ones. And we know that everybody is feeling a lot of feelings at this meeting, and like I said, we need to make sure we maintain decorum in the room and speak with integrity, which I know everybody here will. So I thank you all so much for coming, and let's get started with these. Do you want to do first or me first?
Sure. This is from Megan Puglisi. It came in on Saturday, June 3rd. Letter of support to the Rapid City School Board. Hello, Bobcat family. My name is Joe Puglisi, and I'm practically a lifetime resident of Rapid City. My family's been in business in Radford for 45 years. I'm writing today to show my support and appreciation for one of your principals, Dr. Tara Grant. Fortunately for me, I've known Dr. Grant for most of my life. We grew up together as Bobcats. Radford, being such a small town and close-knit community, we really are defined more by as a family. My story is probably not much different than other former Bobcats, and probably the same for present and future Bobcats. We grow together, we laugh together, we don't always agree, but we protect each other and we stand up and give a hand to each other when needed. This is the Bobcat Nation I know. I think those principal foundations are still at the very heart of our schools too, so I felt this was my opportunity to voice my appreciation for one of the most valuable Bobcats I know, Dr. Grant. I'm not one to usually speak publicly, but by writing this letter, I would like you to know this means something to me personally. My focus today will be on my experience with Dr. Grant as an educator. I have 5 children that were raised in Rapid City schools, my youngest being in 4th grade and my oldest just headed off to college in August. We have seen a lot come and go through these last 13 years. My wife and I have always been at the forefront of our children's education, and I know that makes a difference, but it's not always easy. We have relied heavily on the involvement of our teachers. I will say the teachers here are superior to any other school district close to our area. I credit that to our leadership here, so thank you. My wife has always been involved with the school's PSA programs. It was her first attempt to develop those relationships with teachers and administrators at each school. Tara became the principal at Belle Heath around the time my oldest was in 4th grade. There was a huge change in the environment upon her arrival. It was almost as Willy Wonka just opened the secret doors to the chocolate factory. I kid, but it's true. It became a new era of communication and collaboration between parents, students, and teachers. It was an open-door policy for her office. She cared about the investment of families in the children's future, but also realized that it wasn't just the case for a lot of students in her school. She became their advocate, their tutor, their ride home, or after-school care. She facilitated the means to aid in their successes during their time at Belle Heath. I remember a time of love, community engagement, and student-centered learning. We were open to that. It felt natural and easy. She stretched her arms out in servitude for our students. It was different. We were calmed by her consistency of excellence, and that trickled down to the veins of our school system. Radford City Schools saw so much success and growth with her at the realm of Belle Heath. She was trusted face, whereas parents, there was never a question about her motives or strengths as an educator. She generally cared about the students. What has changed? COVID hit. It was challenging to say the least. Our students suffered. My students suffered. They are still suffering from the effects of COVID. The climate has changed. Students are different. Their capacity of learning is different and weakened by the gaps that every school system has experienced since the terrible time. I know what hasn't changed. Tara Grant and her love for the students. Her love as a Bobcat in this school system, which has shaped not only her future, but her own family's. As Dr. Grant transitioned to the high school, I realized that there was still work to be done, and she was probably the only person to be able to get that job accomplished at our secondary level. I remember the board asking for a lot of grace from parents during COVID. Can we not extend the same grace to one of our own? In a time when so much has happened and so many changes have taken place by their sheer environment, can't we still find space to let her make her way? I can't think of a single person more capable of the fight than Tara Grant. She believes in our students. She sees the good and the ability of every single face that walks in the halls of our high school. I think when everything else has failed, you have to try something new. Change is hard. Change has to have a willing ear and a seat at the table. My experiences with Tara, she's always open for ideas. Her success is dependent on the success of students, and she is all in, all of the time, for finding those wins, no matter how small. She is a visionary and a collaborator. In my line of work, I too have seen a lot of changes in my employees. It's a completely different mindset of the youth when they are looking for a job. I've had to reevaluate my own expectations, and it's been challenging. Compromise is a hard thing, and trial and error can feel like a whole lot of wasted time, but I cannot give up. Tara will not give up. She has too much invested in the school system. She loves her co-workers and students too much to give up on what she has started, and I am confident she will see it through and continue making Radford High School the best place to get your education. My hope is Tara will continue her work at Radford High School. Knowing most of you on a personal level, I know that there is deep passion for making the right decisions for our students. Tara shares that passion. She has worked hard to make the impact of Radford City, and I'm confident she will continue to evolve to meet the needs of every student. She will work tirelessly to face unique circumstances with grace and equity for every student. She will provide a space at her table for partnerships between teachers and families to ensure success as these students move to higher education or the workforce. She is connected to all of us. She is exactly where she needs to be, and I'm thankful for the leadership as principal of Radford High School. Our children now, more than ever, need consistency. It's always the little things that make biggest impacts. When my second was diagnosed as type 1 diabetic in 2020, one of the first calls I got was from Dr. Grant. She wanted to make sure we had everything we needed to, and assured me he would be well taken care of at the high school. When my girls were selling raffle tickets to raise money, Dr. Grant bought one from each to help her reach her goal. When my 8th grader was struggling to pass SOLs and understand curriculum, Dr. Grant pointed us in the right direction to have those conversations about IEPs and what it meant to be for my student. When my oldest wanted to take the leap of faith and embark on a journey outside of Radford City Schools, he called on Dr. Grant to write that letter of recommendation. She knows every student. She loves every student. Thank you. That's Joe and Megan Puglisi.
Thank you. As much as I appreciate the cheering, we have a lot we want to make sure we have time to hear everybody. So I appreciate it. We need to move on to the next. Thank you. We have a letter from Michelle Hazelton, 501 5th Street, Radford. To whom it may concern, my name is Michelle Hazelton, and I've been with RCPS for 5 years. I started as a substitute, I became a paraprofessional at McCarg, and I'm now a special education teacher at RHS. I have 2 children who attend Belheath, who are rising 4th and 6th graders that have been in RCPS since they were in preschool. As both a teacher and a parent, I feel it's important for me to voice my concerns about some rumors I've heard about our current administration and school board members. Our superintendent is a rare one who leads with kindness and will do everything he can to do what is right for our community. In April, he was awarded Superintendent of the Year Award for Region 7, and that seems to have been quickly forgotten. I have seen him firsthand come into classrooms and help with some of our most challenging students. His job is challenging, and through it all, he has put RCPS and the community first. The administration at RHS leads with understanding. I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Grant and Mr. Keister before I started at RHS when McCarg and Belheath were combined. As leaders, they were able to make the transition smooth for everyone, and they are a large reason why I was willing to make the move from McCarg to RHS as a teacher. The administration team at RHS works well with staff and have never left me feeling unsupported. The overall tone of these rumors about some of the school board members' intentions with our RCPS administration is unsettling. The information some of the board members are gathering is incomplete and hand-picked. If you would like to have a real conversation about school climate and/or administration, then all the teachers and staff need to be heard. I hope you will take these concerns into consideration before any decisions that would greatly impact RCPS are made. It is only through transparency and honest communication that our school system will be a positive, supportive, and inclusive community for all our students, teachers, and staff. Thank you for taking the time to read this letter. Sincerely, Michelle Hazelton.
I have one here from Edward Dickinson. It came in June 8th at 11:30. Mr. Graham and school board members, I'm sure you are aware of the controversy created with Mr. Graham's resignation. Controversy is a nice word. The reality is it's not nearly as nice. The rumors, false allegations, and high-test emotions related to this are going to have a long-lasting negative impact on the administration, the teacher's relationship with the administration, and the school system's relationship with the public. Are there not enough challenges we are facing concerning our kids' education? Now we have to deal with a firestorm of division and anger. I respectfully ask that a public statement is made regarding the resignation, preferably a joint statement from Mr. Graham and the board. The statement should address the primary accusations the board's forced Mr. Graham to resign. The men and women addressed in this email certainly know that there may have been friction between board members and the administration, but also know it's nothing to the level of what has been presented in the media, public forums, and petitions. Debate, discussion, and disagreement are both healthy and necessary part of government accountability. Those of us that closely follow the administration, board meetings, and actions know that there has really only been minimal debate or disagreement in recent board meetings. It is possible that this minimal contention was cause enough for Mr. Graham to search for alternative employment and to resign. Even so, this would not be the reason enough to allow rumors and false allegations to cause such division. A truthful statement is needed to establish the facts and to open a door to resolve differences and move forward. The truth may not always be flattering, but you are all government employees who have an obligation to provide this truth to the people. I understand that personnel matters are private and typically not disclosed. However, the external and consequential effects of this personnel matter are not private and need to be addressed. Any of you are welcome to read this so that's from Ed Dickinson.
Okay, thank you. One from Katie Bondurant, sent Tuesday, June 6th at 12:02 p.m. Dear members of the board, my name is Katie Bondurant and I'm a teacher at McCarg Elementary. I live in Radford and have 2 children who attend McCarg. As another school year comes to a close, I am again amazed at the strength of our school district. As both a parent and a teacher, I've had the privilege to work with an amazing school and district team. The staff and principals at McCarg are top-notch and always go out of their way to make sure children are successful, both academically and socially. I appreciate their support, kindness, and leadership. Both Mrs. Green and Mrs. Reedy have taken the time to help me grow as a professional, and I've learned on their expertise and advice on many occasions. Because my children also attend McCarg, I have seen firsthand how their leadership impacts students as well. They know each student by name and always treat them with kindness and respect. McCarg is a wonderful place to work and learn, and that is in large part due to their leadership. I would also like to share what amazing leadership we have at the district level. Leaders like Mr. Graham and Mrs. Denny are rare, and I'm so thankful to have them leading our district. They work tirelessly to promote excellence in our entire community, in academics, citizenship, innovation, athletics, and community engagement. I've worked in neighboring districts, and I can say that my experience in Radford is unparalleled. There are a multitude of reasons why Mr. Graham was selected as Region 7 Superintendent of the Year, and as an RCPS employee, I'm so thankful to benefit from his leadership. It is my hope moving forward that our school board can work alongside our school system in supporting the excellent administration we currently have in Radford. We are beyond fortunate to have such committed leaders within our schools and central office. Thank you, Katie Bondurant.
The next one I have is from Mary Donnelly. It was sent in Saturday, June 17th. To whom it may concern, some may say that I have no dog in this fight, but I disagree. I have 3 children who thrived in Radford City schools and well beyond. I will forever be grateful to the educators and administrators who had parts in my children's educations. They were well prepared for college and real life afterwards. But as I look and read and consider the behavior of our current school board and how their personal agendas, bullying behaviors, and violations to their signed codes of conduct, I am ashamed and indeed horrified. I am very happy my children are done and gone and out of there. From the beginning of their tenure, some school board members have regretfully and unbelievably more than one constituent their desire to make it difficult and try to get rid of administrators whose philosophies don't coincide with their own. Yes, they succeeded, but who suffers? The children. Private school board information has been leaked. No wonder with the familial and personal ties some have to school system employees. Conflict of interest and impropriety abounds, and there has even been talk of illegal and unethical behavior. Some have voiced political, medical, and religious beliefs rampantly, most posted and then removed from social media. I have true compassion for the few on the board who are outnumbered but are trying to do positive things for the school system. Simply stated, this board has run amok. We have lost intelligent, hardworking administrators and educators who have done nothing other than expecting the same level of work and professionalism as they demonstrate. We look like fools. Luckily, targeted administrators have found other jobs quickly and enthusiastically. Their gains are certainly our losses. Perhaps the State Board of Education has a tool to re-educate school board members, explain the code of conduct, the FOIA conflict of interest, the separation of church and state, and their expected duties and behavior. As a Radford taxpayer, I would like to be proud of our school system and school board. Our current children certainly deserve better, and so do our teachers. It's hard to imagine who would want to be superintendent answering to this board, but perhaps specific replacement was part of the plan. That was from Mary Donnelly.
Okay, thank you. Then I have from
Okay.
Okay, we have public comment from Tanner Will, 130 Greenbrier Drive, and it was sent in 4 separate comments, but I'll read them together as one, from on June 6th, 2023. I would like to know why the school board chose not to attempt to keep a distinguished leader like Rob Graham at the helm of our system for as long as he so chose. The next says, I ask that any school member who believes CRT is being taught in any school in America step down out of gross incompetence. The next says, I ask any school board member who believes that banning any book is an appropriate measure to please step down due to gross incompetence. And the final is, school board, Rob Graham cared about RCPS. You all care about making sure your opinion is the one that everyone gets to be oppressed by. You'll be replaced in due time as well.
The next one is from Haley Smith, who lives at 766 Brooklyn Road, and middle school teacher at Dalton Elementary, Dalton Intermediate. I didn't attend tonight because I'm not in good a place to effectively get my point across without tears. I've had dozens of coworkers, people from the community, educators across the state call and check in on me. It has taken a toll on our family's well-being and extremely affected my mental health in an extremely negative way. With that being said, we have to move forward, and we have to start to heal. One step at a time. I believe in Radford. Radford is my community and my home. When things go awry, Radford has always been there. Here is what I've witnessed in the last 3 years as a middle school educator in Radford. Most children do not have healthy relationships with adults. The only healthy relationships they do have with adults are those at the school or those in sports or in extracurricular activities. Most of the time, the healthy relationships that they see are outside of the home. Teenagers are sponges of information. I'm talking about teenagers tonight because that is who I have professional experience with. They are always watching how adults interact with each other. They're watching how adults deal with conflict. They're watching how adults speak to each other, and they mimic that. These teenagers are on social media. Believe me, they are more in the know than any adult. Think about this. In 10 years, our upcoming 7th graders will be 22 years old. They will be in the workplace, in the military, in higher education, and in leadership. How are we going to teach them to stand up for others, be respectful in speaking out about what they believe, stand up for injustice, and to continue to be kind human? Because all of these things can coexist. Please be an example to the future leaders of this world. They are worth it. Teenagers taught me more than I could ever teach them. I hope you will teach them too. I leave you with this. One of my students said this to me this year, and it changed me forever. Miss Smith, why are people always fighting? Don't they understand that will never solve their problem? So I continue to ask my class, what do you think they should do to solve their problem? And these 13-year-olds so wisely said things like, yelling and fighting never solved anything, so probably not that. How about they take a break from each other and talk it out with someone else? They're like a counselor. And don't throw a punch because you'll probably get wrecked. And my favorite response, be kind. That would pretty much solve every problem anyone has. Radford is home. Radford's children are always going to be worth advocating for. Keep every child, all in capital letters, in mind, and every, in capital letters, educator in mind when making extreme decisions. Every decision has a ripple effect. Let's let the next decision unify our community. It's time every student, every day.
All right, thank you. The next comment is from Elizabeth Altieri, from June 17th. The address is 2308 8th Street. I regret that I'm out of town and unable to speak in person at the June 20th RCPS school board meeting. Would appreciate the opportunity to submit this and have it read out loud during the public comment period. I'm writing to express my serious concerns about the governance and operation of this school board. As a former school board member for 4.5 years, I went to many trainings and conference sessions on what it takes to be a good school board member and a well-functioning school board. I want to highlight a research brief prepared by the Center for Public Education, which summarizes research on school board effectiveness. The public needs to know that you, as our school board, have failed to show a number of indicators of successful boards. The first, effective school boards spend less time on operational issues and more time focused on policies to improve achievement for all students, especially the most vulnerable. Number two, effective school boards work hard to build a highly collaborative relationship with the staff of the school division and the community and establish a strong and open communications structure. And three, effective school boards lead as a united team with the superintendent, each from their respective roles and with strong collaboration and mutual trust. The Radford City School Board has in fact met the criteria for a poorly functioning board. The research brief states, quote, "Poor governance is characterized by factors such as micromanagement by the board, confusion of the appropriate roles for the board member and superintendent, interpersonal conflict between the board chair and superintendent, and board member disregard for the agenda process and the chain of command," end quote. In just 6 short months, the majority members of the school board have driven off a highly respected and recognized superintendent and 2 principals. More resignations are in the works. The school board is responsible for the chaos that is about to ensue. Radford City Schools has a well-deserved reputation as a tiny but mighty school division. Families have actively sought RCPS for their children because of our reputation of innovation and academic excellence. In just 6 short months, you have destroyed that reputation. And the saddest thing is that it is the children and the youth of this division who will suffer. I am sad and I am angry, but there is no turning back. Our only way forward is to hire a new superintendent who is highly competent and willing to work with our staff and our community to rebuild. Given that there are currently 20 superintendent vacancies in Virginia, we are unlikely to attract more than the most mediocre of candidates unless candidates can be assured that this school board can change. We ask that you request and receive training from the Virginia School Board Association on your roles as school board members and on effective board governance and collaboration. The community must ask for and require complete transparency and a voice in creating a hiring committee for the superintendent's position and for any principal positions that are now open or become open. These hiring committees must have full representation from families, including diverse families, teachers, and staff. Radford City Schools is in critical condition. The board must also be completely transparent as to the steps they are taking to, quote, "stop the bleeding," quote, and stabilize the school division, and seek community involvement in the process. For the public record, the entire document, 8 characteristics of effective school boards, can be downloaded from ERIC at this link, and the link is provided.
Thank you. So this is from Kelly Morris, who's a teacher at John Dalton. Good evening, school board members, teachers, parents, students, and Radford residents. My name is Kelly Morris, and I have been an educator for 20 years, 17 of those years in the city of Radford. My 63-year-old husband was born and raised in the city. This is his hometown. My children were born and raised in Radford. We chose to live in Radford like many other folks. We wanted to be part of a small community. This is my community, my home, and right now my heart is breaking for my community. It's breaking because I feel like we've lost sight of our purpose, our focus, and our goal. We should all be very worried about Radford's recent loss of quality administrators and teachers. Educators used to fight to get in a Radford district. Now they're fighting to get out of the district from extreme decisions and hurtful comments and behavior. I implore the school board to please refocus and remember what our purpose is and what our goal is as members of this school district, which is to provide the absolute best for all, in capitals, of our children, the best care, the best teachers, the best facilities, the best administrators, and the best education, helping all, in capitals, students see success. In order to accomplish our goals and purposes, we need to stop this divisiveness, this toxic behavior, and refocus, please, for our division and for our students.
Okay. Next is from Amanda Bush. Hello, and it was June 2nd, 2023. Hello, members of the Radford City School Board. I'm addressing you as an RCPS teacher, a 26-year community member, a former PSA member and president, and a parent of students who have come through or are still in the RCPS education program, 18 years now. My experience as both an involved community member and a parent of RCPS students have long made me so proud of our little corner of the world. I have touted the small community and schools of Radford publicly and privately many times over the years. I have felt pride as I've seen our system do so many things well. The first time I felt moved to address the school board was years ago when RCPS was once again searching for a superintendent after yet another person came from outside our community and used our school system as a stepping stone or to coast to retirement. I attended and spoke out for our community to stop overlooking Rob Graham, someone with a vested interest and demonstrated commitment to our city and to our kids, to name him our superintendent. I haven't regretted that once, as I've seen Mr. Graham's investment in our kids over the years. I've seen our schools open up as warming stations and food delivered before neighboring counties began on this inclement weather day, with Rob Graham at the doors. More recently, in the fall of 2020, Mr. Graham pushed our schools to open when so many others locally and around the state had not, and it was his heart for children. It was hard on teachers, but that Band-Aid being ripped off was the right call. In the last two school years, as we have seen broken children coming into our schools, we've had Mr. Graham and Mrs. Denny in our hallways, in the mix and helping, sometimes within minutes of a crisis. Other staff have said they've never worked in a school system like this one, and have committed to continue to drive from Giles, from Christiansburg, from Pulaski, and Dublin, expressly because of Mr. Graham's leadership and our incredible Mrs. Green and Mrs. Reedy. I don't have to know what decisions of Mr. Graham's could be called into question regarding staffing or otherwise, because he has a long history with RCPS that has earned him trust, respect, and the authority to make those decisions. His heart is always for the good of the students of Radford City Schools. Here I am, for only the second time in 18 years, feeling the need to be seen and heard for the good of our community and schools. I began to feel uneasy about our school when the new board members came in during the school year and the tone of the board meeting shifted from, quote, though we don't agree on everything, we are working for a common goal, unquote, to adversarial and divisive. Our board has never been made up of yes men or yes women, but it has always been respectful. I've seen other school boards who have asked members speak in disrespectful tones and using disrespectful speech toward each other and the school staff and superintendents. But I'm shocked and saddened to see it here just this year. Thank you, Jenny Reif, Jane Swing, Gloria Boyd, and Jody Ray for agreeing and disagreeing with class, as far as I'm aware of, during the school board meetings. I listen to them each month. Thank you to those of you on the board and your families that use social media to build up our school system rather than tear it down or create divisiveness. Thank you, Jane Swing, Gloria Boyd, and Jenny Reif for being involved in our schools, volunteering, being present, and providing food to prevent children from being hungry. When Rob Graham walks away from RCPS, we will all know why, and it isn't because of the students, families, or teachers in this system who are grateful for his leadership, glad to be on a team with him. I'd like to speak about Tara Grant from the perspective of a community member. I did full-time children's ministry at a church for 7 years and collaborated with her when she was first a principal at RCPS, and my children's principal, specifically the one who graduated in 2022. First, Tara communicates with our community so well and collaborates with local universities and businesses for the benefit of our kids. Second, COVID changed lots of lives, including the high school experience for children. My boy started working full-time at a fast food restaurant after the schools closed down in 2020. He did track and field before, but that was not an option during COVID shutdowns, and he was always and he has always been a physical kind of guy, and sitting at home wasn't a thing he would be doing. In 2021, he was 17 and made $30,000. He ended up devaluing school because he was already invested in the workforce, a workforce that was shorthanded and appreciated a dependable, hard worker like him. He knew he would not be going to college and that a job with physical labor would be his goal. Skip to spring of 2022, his senior year, and my kid was working a 50 to 55-hour work week, doing restaurant work that he enjoyed, and had made choices that made him a soon-to-be father and had zero use for school. I couldn't believe my kid was in the home stretch, and we could not motivate him to cross the finish line. We were distraught, and I talked to Tara to see if she had any suggestions. She immediately knew that he would be a candidate for the STRIDE program, and that if he took his exams and passed, he'd be good to go. She saw the worker our kid is and took into account how the pandemic affected him and personalized his education so there would be no stumbling blocks at the end of his 13-year run, in which he had previously always been a hard worker. He passed his exams with A's and B's, graduated, and started working for community housing partners. I am proud to say that in 2022, he had made more money working a 40-hour job week than his mama makes in the RCPS school system, and he is a spectacular dad. Did Tara Grant contribute to his current success? Absolutely yes. RCPS mission statement: Radford City Schools aspires to provide a challenging atmosphere in which students prepare for success in life, develop a competitive spirit, and become responsible citizens. Sounds like she's getting it right to me. I'd like to share some history with you that you may not be aware of. I was PSA president for some years while my kids were at Belle Heath. There was a principal there who was a wonderful person, but a loosey-goosey principal. Without describing the school at the time, I will say it was a loving place, but in excellence in education, every student every day isn't how I describe the expectations. Lynn Jacoman came after him, and she was an incredible leader with a strong work ethic, a commitment to safety and excellence, and she tightened the ship. There were policies where there weren't any before. One example, students who are walkers had previously been walked across the parking lot. This is very long. I'm going to keep on going. We got this. There were policies that weren't there before. One example, students who were walkers had previously been walking across the parking lot traffic of car riders to get to their parents' vehicles, where they were directed to wait and be dismissed after car riders, and that their parents needed to park at the rec center to keep our kids out of the busy parking lot. This must have been in the beginning of social media, but people I respected were complaining publicly about this and other things. I walked into her office one day and she looked tired and beat down. I closed the door and gave her a pep talk. I assured her that what she was doing was for kids' safety, was for safety's sake and sensible, but change is hard for people. I implored her to keep at it and not let the squeaky wheels knock her off track. Staff also had a hard time then. The school was in focus and also had a principal with high expectations. Lynn Jacoman paved the way for Tara Grant to be so successful at Belle Heath. Tara went to work at RHS, and I can see a similar thing has happened. Yet there was no buffer before her. A strong woman with high expectations of herself, of students, and of staff came in after a very nice yet lax principal retired. As a parent, I also appreciate the comments on my daughter's report card. I know that was a Tara Grant initiative. We rarely had one for any of our kids past elementary school. My girl struggles some in AP English. We've been hard on her at home about it, but I started to think she was generally lazy. Her third quarter report card came, and the wonderful comments in all the other classes helped us to see a fuller picture of her as a student. Our girl isn't lazy. She's struggling to grasp the material, and she's avoiding it. Now we are parenting her better in that area. People have a hard time with change. Excellence in education, every student, every day. Sounds like she's getting it right to me. I appreciate the expectation that families of students who are failing a class are expected to come in on conference day in October, November to collaborate with their child and their child's teacher to right the ship. Collaboration between teachers and families is to the benefit of our kids. My own child and a colleague at RHS have told me that there is a faction of divisive teachers at RHS. Students have spoken disrespectfully of the principal, and a teacher laughed and did not interrupt further comments, but engaged. An RHS colleague lamented that her work environment is not like the elementary ones she has been a part of, and she said, "We are not a family here, sadly." I've worked under Tara Grant, and I've seen her efforts to build a community at RHS, so I know this is not because of any lack of effort on her part. Who is causing this divisiveness? Who of our school board is standing with Tara as a solid front, even if behind closed doors you share disagreements and come up with solutions? Also, is it a conflict of interest for someone on the board with a spouse who is a teacher in RCPS to make decisions regarding their spouse's boss? I ask that earnestly because on its face I think it is, but there may be something I'm missing here. My principals and my kindergarten team are amazing. I'm grateful for Michelle Green and Deb Reedy, their professionalism and their leadership. Lots of good stuff going on here. I will have to join my colleagues, though, in a request to recall our board if the things that are rumored to occur Tuesday are true. This was sent June 2nd, so this was before the previous meeting. I believe Rob Graham is going to be snatched up by another district. Lucky them. We'll all know what changed for him at RCPS. In addition, I think you'll have a slow bleed on your hands as many of our teachers who live in other towns lose the things that have drawn them to Radford from Christiansburg, Reiner, Blacksburg, Dublin, Pulaski, and Giles, and reconsider working in their own communities. As teachers who live in Radford begin to wonder whether a move to a neighboring county would be so bad after all. Hopefully what you understand clearly now is I, a citizen of Radford, a parent of RCPS students, and a teacher within RCPS have the utmost respect and love for our superintendents and principals. Amanda Bush.
This is from Carolyn Clayton at 2115 Charlton Lane, Radford, on Tuesday, June 20th at 11:30. As a member of our community and someone deeply invested in the welfare of our children and teachers, I am running to you today to express my concerns and make a heartfelt request regarding the leadership of the Radford City School Board and the recent decisions that have been made, setting off a ripple effect of fear and concern. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge the crucial role you play in shaping the educational landscape of our district. Your decisions and actions have a direct impact on the lives of our children, the growth of our educators, and the overall well-being of the community. It is with the utmost respect that I implore you to consider your positions and avenues for advocacy rather than means of personal power. Our children and teachers deserve better from you. They need leaders motivated by genuine desire to improve their experiences and provide them with the resources and opportunities they deserve. I urge you to reflect upon your roles as advocates of these individuals, ensuring the needs and aspirations are at the forefront of your decision-making process. I urge you to review the VSBA Code of Conduct agreements you made when you accepted the leadership responsibility. I will refrain from using the board position for personal or partisan gain and avoid any conflict of interest or the appearance of impropriety. In addition to better advocacy, I request greater transparency from our school board. Transparency fosters trust and empowers stakeholders to participate actively in the education system. By sharing information openly, both successes and challenges can be addressed collectively, strengthening the connection between the board, educators, parents, and students. Transparent communication will serve as a catalyst for a more engaged community, allowing for a more meaningful collaboration and shared vision of educational excellence. Moreover, I believe the humble, ethical, and forward-thinking leadership is paramount for our community to flourish. Humility fosters a culture of openness and collaboration, ensuring that all voices are heard and valued. Our community deserves leaders with forward-thinking mindset while remaining grounded in integrity, empathy, and equity. In conclusion, I respectfully urge you, as dedicated members of our school board, to consider your positions as platforms for advocacy, transparency, and ethical leadership. By prioritizing the needs of our children and teachers, fostering transparency, and embracing a humble, ethical, and forward-thinking approach, you will contribute to the flourishing of our entire community. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. I remain optimistic that together we can create a brighter future for our children and our community.
Okay. That from Mary Sims, 1505 8th Street. This was sent today. I wish to thank all 5 of the school board members for their negotiations with Mr. Graham. I'm glad that they put the teachers and staff first. In order to pay him such a large salary, the board would have been forced to cut staff or teachers. I don't see how it is right to pay an administrative personnel 3 to 4 times as much as staff or teachers make. So thank you for making the hard decision that needed to be made. Thank you for standing up for all children.
And this one's from Melissa Archer, 605 Randolph Street, came in today too. Thank you for your service as board members. As a parent with a child going into 3rd grade, I have been incredibly proud of the education and caring support that my student has experienced so far through the Radford City school system. I'm also very concerned that some of our current school board members are leading our school system in the wrong direction, a path that might take our school system years from which to recover. I fear we are drifting away from values like educational creativity, exposure to a diverse set of ideas, and inclusivity supporting the whole child's social and emotional growth, values that will set our children up to become good citizens of the world. As board members who care about our community, I ask that you please think more about how to support teachers and school administrators who are striving towards these values, instead of turning back the clocks to be more punitive and traditional education system. Thank you for your time.
Okay. I have one from Mandy Thompson, who came in today. To the Radford City School Board members, you were all voted in by the public and sworn in to do what is in the best interest of all children in Radford. This means all, not just the ones that look, act, or behave the way you think they should. One of your first orders of business was to change the grading scale so that zeros once again made sure that some children would fail. You never once considered the possibility of children with very dramatized backgrounds and home life. You all heard from me when you did this, but did any of you care? No, because again, you were thinking of yourself and what you wanted and not what was best for the kids. You didn't even wait until the following year. You hammered the kids in the middle of a school year, which was by no means necessary except for your own egos. Remember, you were voted in to do what is best for all kids, not to inflate your egos by using outdated thinking that doesn't work in these troubled times. As the meetings went on month to month, the strife in the schools continued. In just 6 short months, we have lost our wonderful superintendent who cared so much about all the kids. If any one of them had an issue, he would get back to parents as promptly as he could, which is not the case with the board. I sent each of you an email and only some of you responded back. I don't know what went on behind closed doors with the board and the superintendent, but from Mr. Graham's comments to the press, I believe at least 3 of you went into this election with a personal vendetta, which I find appalling. Why did you run for the board? To get the people out you didn't like? Because not one of you sent anything out after he put his resignation in. This has put Radford in an uproar and not in your favor. Now let's talk about the oaths that you as board members signed. On 1/10/2023, you all 5 signed the VSBA Code of Conduct for the school board members. Do you all remember your oaths? Let's break it down for you if I may. Number 9, I will refrain from using the board position for personal or partisan gain and avoid any conflict of interest or the appearance of impropriety. Can you explain to me why you have one board member that has used his school Facebook page to post for partisan gain for Republicans? Not just once or twice, but 24 times since he was signed into office. Can you explain? Can you explain why you broke the code of conduct and should not be ousted? You have another board member who has also shared things on her personal Facebook for personal gain that was not made public, which she has already been spoken to regarding this. It was shared on her private page, not for anyone to see, or everyone to see, and I quote, "Remember that school schedule that had the children starting the day at 10, 2 days a week? Yeah, you're welcome," end quote. This was the day after the superintendent made his resignation. This is using her own Facebook with school board information that was not open for everyone to see. This is against the First Amendment. See Davidson v. Randall, number 17, 2002, Fourth Circuit. I'm not sure what that means. And Knight First Amendment, and it goes on with other Supreme Court citations. Thank you. Again, she was spoken to before and she was elected, but she was spoken to before she was elected, and so she did it again. So why should she not be ousted? You have a board member's wife that sent personal messages back in January speaking badly of the school system and the administration. How does this look to the school community as well as those who voted for the school board? She then went on to laugh at the fact that the superintendent resigned. With those messages, it was plain to see that this person had a personal agenda and was not in favor of the superintendent. In the messages, it was apparent that this spouse knew more than she should have known about confidential board issues. I will not share those messages with you tonight, but I've documented it for anyone to see. Now back to the VSBA code you all signed. Number 12, I will always remember that the foremost concern of the board is to improve and enhance the teaching and learning experience for all students in the public schools of Virginia. Can you explain to me how you have done this? Let me help you understand. This whole thing was caused by so many rifts between the school board and the teachers. You had one member that went and unfriended all of the teachers that supported the superintendent. Well, how is that supporting teaching of the children when it has created a hostile work environment for the teachers as well as fear? They may be the next person that the board wants to be done with. This has done nothing to help our school system but create a divide between the people that are supposed to teach our children and the people who run the school. Perhaps you should all remember that you were voted in by us, the parents and the public, to uphold certain duties, and you have so far failed miserably in my eyes and so many others. I don't know where the petition is to have a recall, but when and if it comes, I'm in. I hope I can be the very last signature on the 10% of voters that voted to get this school board overturned. You can't even follow the simple code of conduct, much less the rules that govern you. Why don't you save face and step down? Yours truly, Mandy Thompson, 1305 4th Street.
This is from Nicole Watson, who's a teacher at McCarg, 7 Hidden Valley Lane, Radford. Good evening. I was hoping to attend the meeting this evening, but I'm a parent of 3 young bobcats and often have parental duties that keep me from attending in person. I very much appreciate the meetings are streamed and available for us to watch. I'm also a proud kindergarten teacher in Rapid City Schools. I'm passionate about my job and even more passionate about the young students I get the opportunity to work with each year, teach each year. Today I'm asking for the school board to consider funding full-time assistants in all kindergarten classrooms. This past school year, I was blessed to have an assistant in my classroom from 7:45 to 12:30 each day. She was a vital part of my classroom. Because of her assistance, there was very little loss of learning during key instructional time. If a student need assistance with bathroom issues, a visit to the nurse, or even something as simple as a shoe tie, there was another adult to handle those things instead of an interruption in the learning environment. With her support, classroom activities could be set up and ready to go after a lesson was presented. This allowed students to have more learning and practice time in the classroom. We also were able to work together to create an environment that had strong classroom management and supports in place for students. Another benefit was the added academic support. She made it possible for students to have another adult provide small group instruction. My class had 20 students receive a perfect score on their PALS literacy assessment at the end of the year. This occurred because they had strong research-based instruction that was taught in whole group, small group, and one-on-one settings by 2 adults. My assistant and I were able to work as a team to provide extra instruction to students who needed it. According to an article from the Sage Journal, and a quote, "We find consistent evidence of positive effect of teachers' assistants and understudying staffing category on student performance in reading and math. We also find larger positive effects of teacher assistance on achievement outcomes for students of color and students in high poverty schools than for white students and students in more affluent schools. We conclude that teacher assistants are a cost-effective means of raising student achievement, especially in reading." End quote. Please consider funding assistance in all kindergarten classrooms for the upcoming school year. Thank you.
Okay. I have from Anthony Miano, dropped off today, June 20th. Who would have thought the Radford City School Board would have forced Rob Graham, the Regional Superintendent of the Year, to render his resignation? Everyone is so disappointed and deeply concerned with the Radford City School Board actions. Mr. Graham, his children, his father, and his sister were all RHS grads. Incidentally, all 4 of my children also attended Radford City Schools. He served as principal and then moved into administration as a superintendent. He loved the kids, the teachers, and most importantly, his job. He became one of the most successful superintendents in the state of Virginia. The kids loved him. He solved many problems by visiting the alternative room regularly, discussing the kids' behavior in contrast with the board member's insinuation of putting unruly kids in an unattractive, darker room until they improved their behavior. The Radford City School Board found exception with an employee or 2 in the system. Mr. Graham, being a strong, smart, and dedicated leader, hired the best available people. He knew his job was to make the schools, teachers, and kids the very best they could be. Just very recently, Rob received a congratulatory letter stating that Radford was one of the top 6 school divisions in the state to receive the Innovative Exemplar Award of Recognition. There are 132 school divisions in the state. Not too shabby, huh? His professionalism led Radford City Schools through one of the most difficult times in any school's history, COVID-19. He did so with the same high standards that Radford has been known for in the past. Mr. Graham made sure that every child had meals and even began a summer program to make sure the unfortunately needy kids were fed in the summer months so that no child was left hungry. We could go on and on about his accomplishments, but his brilliance and tireless working hours will now benefit the Pulaski County school system because the Radford City School Board forced this gentleman out against his will. The only thing missing in this equation is a proficient school board. The city would be wise to review, investigate, and if necessary, remove incompetent Radford City School Board personnel before there is further deterioration in the school system. Action is required now. Families move to Radford to attend our highly regarded schools. Industry looks at school systems first, and many pay tuition just to attend. We know as voters that this can be corrected at the polls, but we need to clear the shenanigans of the board ahead at this time. Pulaski County says they hit a home run, and they did. We say our Radford City School Board struck out, but they may not realize it for a while. You may find another superintendent, but you will never find another Rob Graham. Submitted with due respect, Anthony Miano. And then we have, well, I guess I could read the last one that was emailed before the, unless you want to read this one.
No.
Okay. We have from Ashley Frost, 2728 Eagle Drive in Draper, Virginia. Hi, my name is Ashley Frost, and I've been a teacher at McCarg for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I was lucky enough to be able to complete my field experience through Radford University within RCPS at both Bell Heath and McCarg. As a brand new teacher, fresh out of college, my mind was spinning when it came to job searching. I'd quickly fallen in love with Radford City Schools during my student teaching for the following reasons. The teachers and staff, the wonderful administration, our very hands-on, present, approachable superintendents, and the overall RCPS community. All signs pointed to me obtaining a position within this superb division. With the guidance and phenomenal Kay Ellerman and Tara Grant, I was able to interview and eventually move into a kindergarten position the following year after I graduated. I was more than thrilled. The last 2 years working under McHarg's current administration and alongside current faculty and staff have been immersive, developmental, positive, collaborative, challenging, innovative, and fun. I'm not sure if I have enough time to share how much I've truly enjoyed working at McHarg. I felt nothing but supported and at home in my time teaching here. My team was a dream team. We worked so well together, listened, supported, collaborated, communicated, shared, and had the best time teaching some of the littlest learners in our division. That is why when I made the decision to leave Radford City, leaving my McHarg family was the most difficult part of that decision. I've always felt like I belonged in an upper elementary grade level, even before I began student teaching. When I obtained a position in Radford City, I really didn't have a preference on where I was placed because I knew, regardless of where I was, I would be supported and welcomed. That is exactly what happened when I joined the McHarg team. Now about to begin my third year teaching, I knew that I wanted to begin to keep an eye out for grade level, ideally above first grade. I had every intention of staying in Radford until I heard about an opening in Pulaski that encouraged me to apply. Once I applied, I began thinking about all the wonderful people that I've had the privilege to work with here in Radford City. Michelle Green, Deb Reedy, Ellen Denny, and the person that made me withdraw my application to Pulaski County was Rob Graham. I knew based on everything I have been able to observe in our school system over the last 3 years that I was not going to find a leader like Mr. Graham in other surrounding counties. I've seen him support each person in our school. This includes admin, teachers, support staff, and most importantly, our students. He has gone above and beyond all of my expectations of what qualities make up an efficient, effective, and wonderful superintendent. I've been able to attend all the school board meetings for the last 6 or so months. I was attending each meeting to express my support, concern for my colleagues, my time, and our administrators. In addition to doing so, I've watched these meetings be less than productive. I've watched the board exhibit poor communication, collaboration, and decision-making skills. I felt as though some personal agendas and beliefs have superseded the main goal of a school division, which is the students. The entire student population. In addition to that, as a teacher under this board, I have felt less than supported. It has seemed as though there is a constant battle between the superintendents and the board on adequately supporting the faculty and staff of Radford City. The superintendents, who are always in our buildings, seeing our day-to-day challenges and struggles, have been working tirelessly to provide us with everything we need to be successful, and instead of working together to come up with a solution as a team, I witnessed disrespectful interruptions, many comments that pivoted from the topic at hand, and disregard to the hours that went into creating a unique plan to support teachers in their time. Teachers then decided to share their struggles with the board by sharing during public comment section of a few meetings. I was and still am incredibly proud of my colleagues for advocating for their needs in an environment that is intimidating and unwelcoming. However, it wasn't enough to sway the decisions that were made. Our stellar superintendents were gracious and went to create another plan that would better suit the needs of more people after the board asked them to. They again went above and beyond, creating more than one option. I beamed with pride while watching how professionally they handled each meeting, knowing that I have so much I can learn from them on how to work with a difficult team. Fast forward to a couple weeks before the end of our school year, this year, when I caught wind of Mr. Graham being removed from his position. While I was incredibly disappointed, I was not shocked, not based on anything other than the behavior from board members that I've seen in board meetings and on social media. With that knowledge, I reapplied to Pulaski County, interviewed, and obtained a position in an upper elementary grade level at the elementary school that I attended, and that Mr. Graham served as the assistant principal during my time there many years ago. While I was overcome with sadness about leaving my wonderful McHarg family, I knew that this change was ultimately what was best for me, based on my preference in grade levels, but also in who I wanted to represent me on the school board level. I'm writing this to express my gratitude to my wonderful McHarg family, to the administrators who helped me grow and to get me where I am, Michelle Green, Deb Reedy, Tara Grant, and to the Radford community that I have been lucky enough to serve. I'm also writing this to encourage the board to reevaluate their norms and protocols, see opportunities to improve their overall performance as a board, realize the repercussions that are stemming from their behavior and decisions over the last several months, and to remember that they are here to always make decisions that are in the best interest of the students of Radford City and not themselves. I hope to see positive change in the year to come as the board navigates rebuilding the integrity and reputation of Radford City Public Schools. I am headed home as a Cougar under the wonderful leadership of Rob Graham and Tara Grant as they take on their new roles in Pulaski County Public Schools. Thank you, Ashley Frost. And then we have 2 of our students sent in YouTube videos. which is something that we haven't had before, as they wanted to make public comments using YouTube, which is something that we don't have protocol for. We don't have a way to get their videos into our live stream, and so that's something that we haven't approached that yet, and we'll need to figure out how to navigate that moving forward. And so I took the time this afternoon to transcribe what our two students wanted to share with us, because I wanted to make sure that their voices were heard. So the first is from Lily Hurst, and she shared her YouTube video on Saturday, June 17th. It says, "Hello, my name is Lily Hurst, and I'm a rising senior at Radford High School. I am at," it's not Girls State. What was it that she was saying?
Girls State.
It is Girls State. That was my struggle. I'm at Girls State and cannot attend in person, but I would be remiss to not share this. So I'm here today with a grateful heart and want to express my utmost gratitude to you, Mr. Graham. I feel I represent most of our student body today, and I want to start by saying how sad I am for myself and for Radford City Schools. We are losing an influential and incredible superintendent, former principal, coach, friend, and most importantly, the glue to Bobcat Nation. Mr. Graham has played an important role in shaping me into who I am today. I had the honor of having him as my junior tennis coach, and he has taught me lessons I never knew I needed. You have supported me, encouraged me, and made me laugh unlike any coach I've had before. Although there are many lessons Mr. Graham has taught me, there's one that resonates with me the most. This lesson was always to be me and to never change myself or beliefs for anyone, no matter the circumstances, hard or easy. At the last school board meeting, I remember seeing a sign that said this: "We teach students to stand up for others, and this is our real-life example." Administration and teachers have such a huge impact on our students, and seeing this made me realize that Radford City schools really do have the best. But that being said, it's really sad to see you leave for reasons I don't fully understand and reasons out of my control. But today I stand up for you, Mr. Graham. I want to thank you for all you've done to give back to this community and all that you've done for every student every day. Most importantly, thank you for showing me how even in hard times, you have to take each day and face your challenges with an optimistic outlook. I truly do believe that once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat. We love you, Mr. Graham. Thank you so much. With a former student. Yes. And the last one is from a former student, Sophie Graham, who shared her video today. Good evening, my name is Sophie Graham, and I live at 417 Vista Ridge, and I'm a 2020 graduate of Radford High School. I hope tonight you can disregard my last name and allow me to speak as a former Bobcat. I'd like to start by reading a few definitions. To treat in a cruel, insulting, threatening, or aggressive fashion, and to do something by the means of caution or force. I'm not sure when the last time the people sitting in front of you have walked through the schools in this division, but if they do, they will notice posters hung up all over the walls. Let me clear the confusion. These posters are about bullying, hence the previously stated definition. How are we going to sit here and preach to coming generations that kindness is the answer to everything and bullying is wrong, with the individuals sitting in front of you today bullying valued administrators who teachers respect and kids adore to the point of feeling as if there's no other option but resignation? Let me specify coercing or providing an ultimatum to the superintendent so that he will read in front of a group of his colleagues and peers a letter that is morally degrading, constant harsh Facebook posts, and snide comments made by elected school board members are in the forms of bullying. 2 weeks ago, the community stood in solidarity outside the school board office to offer an overwhelming amount of support for RCPS administrators. I understand that you cannot please everyone, but I find it hard to believe that the administrative team has provided a work environment that leads employees to be unhappy. In fact, one of the board members sitting in front of you today has been an employee of RCPS since I roamed the halls of McCarg 14 or so years ago. So why is it that they are just now speaking out about how terrible of a job that the man who's been her boss for over 14 years is doing? For those who claim to be unhappy, I strongly encourage you to take a step back and self-reflect, as well as take a look at the bigger picture. That being why you chose to become an educator, and whose voices we really need to make sure are heard, the students. I think everyone is missing the point of what public education is really about, making a difference in students' lives, especially the ones who struggle to see the light at the end of the tunnel, the ones who just need a little extra love. Mr. Graham saw each and every one of those kids. In fact, I do not think there was a student in Radford City Schools that Mr. Graham did not go out of his way to connect with. He knew every student by name, making them all feel special in their own way. I can confidently state that the board members in front of you today have only left an impact on their own children. For the last 2 years, I've been proud to recite the phrase, once a Bobcat, always a Bobcat, due to the sense of community that RCPS provided me. However, due to recent events, I can no longer say I am proud of what Bobcat Nation is becoming. So those are all of our letters that were sent in ahead of time. Got a number of folks signed up to come speak. First, we have Robert Miller. I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. This is our first time using this.
After an hour and 15 minutes, I won't exceed it.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm Robert Miller, a Radford taxpayer and multiple property owner, 108th Street. My Radford ancestry includes 18th century Howard Haven, who came here and opened a tavern called Lovely Mount Tavern until it became Central Depot. I'm a once proud Radford High School graduate where my education under outstanding teachers and another outstanding superintendent, our cousin Boyd DeHaven, and Frank Flora, my high school principal, names that most of you only know from history books, led me to a 39-year career as a teacher and high school principal. I'm proud that Michelle Poff Green and her husband Nathan were among my outstanding graduates of Auburn High School. I wish to congratulate Dr. Graham and Dr. Grant for their good fortune in joining Pulaski County Public Schools. I share the sentiment expressed by Ms. Boyd, who said, "We wish him the best in Pulaski." I'm sure they will both do their best for students, employees, and for the board. I also wish each of you success as you search for a superintendent, a high school principal, and an elementary school principal. The very best are hard to find, and another mistake of disastrous proportions could doom our fine school division. For any of you who through fear or ignorance have never given a rational thought to your actions, who have embraced conspiracy theories, or have not listened to your employees or to your constituency, I pose to you a question asked of Joseph McCarthy during another dark time in our national memory. Have you no decency?
Next, we have Erica Mendoza.
Hi, my name is Erica Mendoza. I'm a mother of 4 here in Radford City Public Schools. Well, actually 3, and I have 3 wild children, 1 to be determined. Robert Graham has worked with my family numerous times, and I have a whole speech set out, but there's just so much more in my heart that's going on for me to think about, and I just want to put some really nice things out there. I want to say that Rob Graham is someone that means so dear to my heart, and you have never made me feel any less of a person, and you've always done so great by me and my children. For him to be who he is and to go pick up a child out of a school bus that's having a meltdown and take him home, who does that? You don't do that. He doesn't do that. That's someone that we don't do that. And for someone like him to do that, that just means so much to me. Tara Grant, and Mr. Keister, I don't see him, but my son has had, he has autism, he has special needs. His name's EO. I don't know if I'm going to tell you guys that, but that's my son's name. He had, an episode on the bus, and they noticed it, and they pulled him off, and they got him safe, and they made sure other students were safe, and that was their main concern. And it's just, I've worked so well with these administration people, like, you might not believe it, but, like, they freaking care. Like, they care so much. Like, there's days that I want to be like, my kids are crazy, and, like, dude, just just don't deal with them today. And they're like, no, it's okay. Like, we got this. And I'm just like, no, don't. But they're so amazing. And I just hate so much that there's just so much going on and we just want to know answers. And I hate that you're leaving. And I'm so proud of you and so happy for you and so happy. There's just so much in my brain that's going on. There's so much more I want to say, but I need you guys to know that we have to work together. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about us. It's about the kids. It's about our staff, because they're the ones that's going to be taking care of my kids when they're in there. And my son, Rogelio, oh my God, good luck. I'm just telling you, good luck, because he's up in here all the time. And I mean, I'm with it, but he's there. And they're with him, and they're always there with him. And I need these people. They back me up, and they're there with him, and they know that. And it's not just with me. They're with the other students, and they're there for them. And I hate that we've pushed. There's so much been going on, and there's so much, and I don't want to say anything more. I just want to be like, these are freaking amazing people. They're leaving us, and I hate it. And I don't want you guys to go anywhere, and I wish I could just grab you and keep you. But that's not the case, and I can't keep them. And I love each and every one of you guys. Congratulate to all of you. That's really pretty much all I have to say, because there was so much more I could say, but I'm trying not to, because I'm very much of a mama bear and a 15-year-old self coming out of me, and there's so much more I could tell you guys. But I just want you guys to know I love my kids. And I love these people, and they have never made me feel less of a human being or a horrible mom. The days I've come in and my kid has called everybody an F word or a B word, and he has. And he's destroyed a room, and I promise you, he has. And they have never made me feel less of a person than that. And that is something I don't teach him at home. I might be a sailor, but I don't teach him that at home. But I am who I am. But I love my kids, and these people love my kids too. And I've never felt that my kids were unsafe with them. And I've never felt that they've never had the best interest in my kids. And they've always had the safety, not of just my kids, but of the other kids too. They've always made sure that other kids were safe, and the other teachers and stuff. So they've always worked for me. And they've always worked for the people that I've met, and I just hate to see them go, and it's really hard for me. And if you guys got a letter from me, I was really mama bearing it out, so yeah, and I probably meant everything I said, but like I was really mama bearing it out, so just you guys.
Thank you.
But I am nice, I promise, but that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Next, we have Frank Napolitano.
Members of the school board, I don't know you all personally, but those I do know, I understand to have the best interests of our kids at heart. Recent events haven't changed my feelings in that regard, but they have motivated me to say something publicly. I come to you tonight not knowing all of the reasons behind Rob Graham's resignation from the position of RCPS superintendent, and I don't want to base my statements on the hearsay of social media. All I can rely on are the statements and actions of those directly involved and the realities our kids now face. First, I understand from Mr. Graham's statements that despite his resignation, he did not want to leave Radford. I also know that one member of this board took credit for Mr. Graham's departure in a social media post that many people saved before the board member deleted it. I know that in the last 2 weeks, in addition to losing our award-winning superintendent, we have lost 2 principals. And according to a former school board member quoted in yesterday's Roanoke Times, several teachers are leaving because they don't want to work under this board. Our school system used to compare favorably to those in the surrounding areas. Now parents are saying that recent events have them considering private or homeschooling. What a change 6 months can bring. Whatever the board's intentions may have been, this situation looks like dysfunction. I worry about how this instability will affect our kids, and I worry about how it will affect the decisions of qualified teachers and administrators who may see Radford's situation and decide to look elsewhere. Also, members of the community have seen how the culture war issues of national politics have infiltrated local school boards, with ideologues stoking fear and division that most often hurts LGBTQ students. We've all posted things to social media that we regret, but it's fair to say that ideological social media statements by some members of this school board do not alleviate these concerns. But despite these failures, and I need to emphasize they are failures, the entire board can take steps to improve the situation for our children and our families. We understand the importance of moving quickly to find a new superintendent and principals, but the board needs to be transparent in its hiring process. It also must allow the community a voice in the creation of a hiring committee for administrative positions. Finally, it needs to reaffirm its commitment to keeping hurtful national groups from influencing its decisions or threatening the safety of students who are already threatened or marginalized on a daily basis. Shakespeare said, "What's past is prologue." This board needs to ensure that the story of our children's time in Radford City Schools ends well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mary Madeline Webster.
Hello. I'm here tonight because I'm angry and I'm worried about the future of our school division. Before deciding to speak, I debated whether this was even worth my time, as I don't know that you care to hear any other opinion different than your own. Supposedly, there is a silent majority. I think that we have heard from the majority of people speaking tonight what they want. But I decided I needed to set an example for my own children to speak up and stand up for what is important. This school division, our teachers, and our students are important to me, and watching the events of the last week and listening to our devoted teachers in actual despair has been an experience I can't ignore. To Gloria Boyd and to Chris Calfee specifically, I am appalled with the arrogance displayed in your short tenure on this board. To think that after 6 months, you have a thorough enough understanding of the culture of every school in our division to make a change in leadership is disgraceful and short-sighted. Sure, they resigned due to a lack of support from people on this board that are supposed to have our students' best interests in mind when making decisions. We now have several leadership positions to fill, and who knows how many more once devoted Bobcats will leave to find a district where they feel supported. And where are we supposed to find enough quality educators in mid-June to fill all of these positions? As a parent, I'm terrified thinking about how the decisions you are making now will affect my children for years to come. What's next? I know that many of you call yourself Christian and value your faith. I do too. I pray that you will keep all of our children in mind when making future decisions for our school system. I pray for protection for our students from decision makers who justify marginalizing specific groups who think or act or look different than them using religion as a reason for their prejudice. I pray that our children living in poverty or those that are experiencing trauma get the support that they need. I was lucky enough to learn from the absolute best, Sweezy Gilmore. She taught me and many others the importance of advocating and standing up to those in positions of power when they were wrong. Were our leaders perfect? Did they make the right decisions in every circumstance? Did they make every parent, student, and teacher happy? No, of course not. No one could. At times, I didn't agree with decisions that were made or policies that were implemented, but I also knew that their love for school and community ran deep, was genuine, and not self-serving. I can't say that same thing for the people on this board. The people that you worked so hard to push out were quality educators that were completely devoted to Radford City Public Schools and all of its students. Please put whatever agendas and egos you have aside when making hiring decisions for our school division. How are you going to repair the division you have created in this small community? I don't have the answer, but you owe it to this community that you are supposed to be representing, to our teachers, and most of all, to the students to figure it out.
Next, we have Susan Lockwood.
No, you're going to stay.
My name is Susan Lockwood. I live at 408 8th Street here in this great city of Radford. Sorry?
Get closer to the mic.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Should I start over?
You're okay.
I'm okay. Okay. I've been a resident of Radford since 1967, and my husband Bob, who's with me here tonight, and I have 4 children who've gone through our school system beginning in kindergarten. They all now have very successful careers. Sorry. Bradford has been known for decades throughout the region for our outstanding educational programs. Many parents actually paid money for their children to attend Radford City Schools because they lived out of the city. I stand here tonight in support of continuing these educational standards. I don't know why I'm getting so upset. That are embodied in the groundwork that has been laid. And it's my hope that our elected school board members all share the same support for our children, and that in doing so, principles and ethical standards will always be foremost and never under any situation be compromised. Our teachers and leaders are the backbone of our schools. They shape our lives in so many ways. Just think about your education, your upbringing, and I'm sure that each of you have teachers who you will always remember. But many of us are now asking what is happening. Rumors are both rampant and abundant. Facts are scarce. Transparency is noticeably absent. Where is the communication with the community members who elected you? Where is that communication? Silence may be golden, but now, as we have reached a pivotal point in Radford, in advancing and supporting the very essence of our Radford City Schools, and now to the board, in electing you to oversee our children's education, we have placed great responsibility with each of you to guarantee that each child receives the best possible experience while they're going through this great educational program in Radford. With that in mind, I challenge each member to review the Virginia School Board Association Code of Conduct. I have a copy of that here if anybody wants to see it later. All of you signed that in January, just a few months ago. Your signatures are on this copy. It is incumbent upon each of you to rededicate and recommit yourself once again to following all 12 principles outlined in the document in a professional and ethical manner in all actions that take place at all levels, whether it's at board meetings, in board meetings, or out of board meetings. Please note in particular number 6 of the 12, which reads, and I quote, "I will encourage individual board expression of opinion and establish an open two-way communication," 2 ways. Establish a two-way communication process with all segments of the community. We must all work together for our children and our teachers. Let's begin today. There's so much to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Lee Slusher.
Good evening, all. For the record, I am Lee Slusher, and I live at 1201 Cedar Ridge Drive here in Radford. And the elephant in the room is, yes, I am the former school board chairman and a member of the Radford City School Board for 4 years. I am far and was far from perfect as a board member and as chair, but I took very, very seriously the Virginia Code of Conduct for school board members. Regrettably, the majority of you do not. You have been outside the boundaries of the code, yet you signed that document to, and I quote, "strive to demonstrate appropriate behavior and conduct as a board member," end of quote. From the beginning of your terms, just 6 months ago, the dissolution of a quality board began, with the majority causing divisiveness and fear in our school community. You promised to demonstrate integrity and base decision on facts rather than on rumors and innuendos. And violate this code you did. I will not cite your specific names, but the following egregious behaviors are well documented, folks. Number 1, you have been sharing confidential student information on Facebook under the guise of "once upon a time," and easily recognized by people in this community, including parents. Number 2, you requested exit interviews with 2 board members through emails directly to teachers. You have sought through Facebook a big personal thank you for your vote on specific items. Really? Number 4, additionally, posting on social media partisan political statements. You are not to say what or who for whom you vote or for what party you belong to, but you're naming specific candidates as well as a picture of the King James Version of a Christian Bible lying beside a .45 caliber pistol cocked and ready to fire during a period of time that our school children and teachers are being slaughtered in other communities. Can you imagine the fear that you sparked with the parents, students, and staff in this small community that are terrified every day their children go to school? Number 5, you failed to admonish publicly your spouses for posting inappropriate messages and pictures, up, down, both directly and indirectly on social media accounts that relate to school business. You never responded as a group, through the chair as you were supposed to, and agreed by signature. Number 7, in the past, you've questioned publicly the validity of ADHD, a medically diagnosed neurological condition. Number 8. Number 8. You directed the superintendent to reassign or remove building administrators without cause. Number 9, treating the superintendent in public with some of the most disrespect and telling a multiple award-winning division leader how disappointed you are in him. Comments like that will win you no points in this community.
I don't give a freak. It's okay.
Number 10, scheduling your listening tour as it is known in social circles as the snooping tour to get dirt on the administration.
Your mom's house. Oh, sorry.
To make this egregious behavior even worse, before your very first official meeting, your conduct was unacceptable. You told the current superintendent that the Taliban was watching your family, but that a government agency is protecting you? Really? You shared confidential student information from a closed board meeting with a local school resource officer. You have questionable employment histories, as well as one related to and including a now publicly available personal check written to an employer that coincides with an employee resignation. And a copy of this check was forwarded by a group of parents and just recently handed to me. You have spoken openly in public with others about your desire to fire the current superintendent, but you knew you couldn't because of me. So instead, you made his life miserable. I will finish.
I'll let you finish it.
Your Facebook accounts are not your friends, and you are elected to speak as one. Some of you campaigned on transparency, but the violations are rampant. The Freedom of Information Act is not your friend. And at last, one final thought that should resonate with you: those biblical passages that you cherry pick at will justify your actions. I will leave you with Luke 23, verse 34. Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Okay. Please, members in the audience, need to have decorum, please. Can Logan Graham?
When I was going into elementary school, my parents taught me about bullies and how to stand up to them. They said something along the lines of, people only bully because they're insecure about themselves or unhappy with their lives. I was taught to ignore them, be the bigger person, but to always make sure I stood up against them if it was something I believed in and was truly passionate about. I was also taught to never bully back, but instead show them kindness. What my parents taught me is exactly what my dad has done. He's passionate about this school system and making sure the kids of Radford receive the best education possible. He's passionate about this community, making this community the best it can be, and these schools a place where teachers actually enjoy their jobs. He stood up to 2 bullies sitting in front of me, and one who chose not to answer for his actions today for 6 months now. When he and other administrators were harassed, degraded, and given ultimatums, he stood firm in his morals. When he was badmouthed across social media by elected leaders of this school system, he ignored it and instead turned his attention to how he could make teachers' lives better. He's shown up every day and been the bigger person. He's shown kindness to each of you when it was certainly not deserved, and he chose to put this community and school system first after you all left him with only one choice. A school board is supposed to be a supportive body. They're supposed to encourage their employees, allow and accept staff and community feedback, and have a positive influence over the schools. A school board should always make decisions in the best interest of the current and future students and staff. The only overall agenda a school board should have is to create the best learning environment possible. Currently, this school board reflects none of these values. I hope you all are able to put your own personal views and agendas aside and clean up the mess you've made, because Radford City deserves better.
Thank you. Next, we have Sarah Pullman.
Hello. My name is Sarah Pullman, and I'm very proud to be a special education teacher at Dalton Middle School. And the first thing I want to say before I even read what I wrote is I think we all just saw, so you guys can't see if you're on video, but not only did Rob just get up to go help with a student at 7:44 p.m., but so did every administrator in this room. Okay? So I'm here tonight, not because it makes me comfortable, okay, but because one of the greatest things that I teach my students is to stand up for themselves and what they believe in. I've done that numerous times by marching in DC on many occasions, and tonight I'm leading by example, and I'm standing up in this room, which again makes me very uncomfortable for my students because they deserve to see this. Members of this board, back in May before the school year ended, you may recall that we all sat and spoke during the listening tours. I met all of you. I was thrilled with the conversations. I felt heard and I felt respected. As soon as I got home, I shared those feelings with not only other educators, but my parents, my grandparents, called them on the way home. I was really excited about it. You also asked a favor of me, which was to reach out to my coworkers and ask them to fill out that survey that was coming our way. And I did that. Within 5 minutes of it coming out, I sent an email and asked every single one of my coworkers to fill it out, even when they were like, another survey. Yes, I asked them to fill it out because I felt heard. You had expressed to me that you wanted our opinions and that you valued them and that they mattered. But just as you asked that, I felt heard and valued. However, as one of the many, many teachers and community members that showed up in support of Mr. Rob Graham on the 6th, my feelings have wavered. I felt and feel ignored and shut out of decisions that impact not only myself, but my students. How are we to feel supported when all information has to come from rumor and speculation because we've heard nothing? I fear that the damage is already done, as Pulaski has multiple of our most valuable assets. However, there are things that you can actively do to help aid in repairing some of the damage. We need transparency. We need to know what's going on and not from Facebook. You've said how important that is to all of you, yet these decisions are being made in closed session. And while I understand that some things have to be done, look at how many people are here tonight. It is summer. Look how many teachers are here. That speaks volumes. You have got to listen to the teachers and parents of this community. Respectfully, your teachers and parents are what make this school division what it is. Our opinions matter, and on that Tuesday, we showed up and we told you how we felt, and it was seemingly ignored. That spoke volumes to many of us. Now I find that we are losing numerous leaders and strong advocates for our students, more of which I suspect is coming. Our students and their success is the reason that I teach, and it should be the reason that each of us is here. It may be time to reevaluate your reason for making decisions. Take a step back and think. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in everything that's going on. I will not stand by the wayside and allow my students, who I care for as my own, to be used as political pawns. Something has to change now before any more damage is done. And I want to say one more thing that I didn't write, and that is to Rob. You did many things for me last year, and it doesn't go unrecognized, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Charlie Cosmato. Can someone pass along to? Okay.
Charlie, you're up.
Good evening, I'm Charlie Cosmato. I live at 506 Harvey Street in Radford. Been there, raised my kids from that location in Radford City Public Schools. Both of them are now graduated and out of the house. I've worked in education, well heck, I've been in some kind of education under the watchful eye of education since I was 3 years old, and I just had my 52nd birthday. But I've worked in education my entire adult life, and I currently work in a role where we talk to faculty in higher education about being good teachers, because in spite of advanced degrees, most of them have very little training in teaching, and they struggle with it. Imagine being a master of your discipline and not having been given the basic tools of instruction, finding it out in the trenches. But one of the things that we tell teachers right off the bat is worry about the climate of the classroom. If you don't want people to learn, put them in a hot classroom with tightly packed chairs. Make sure there's no air circulation. So if anyone campaigned on the idea that this administration broke the kids by forcing them to go online during the pandemic, ask yourself, why did you force half of the people to go into the very situation that any educator knows is ineffective for learning by sticking them in the room next door instead of seeking a change of venue? That's a simple awareness of situation that I think got overlooked here, and that concerns me. The board, who seems very interested in being deeply involved, could have intervened. I understand a request for change of venue was made. But anyway, that's not what I came to do, and I go off topic. I'm going to stick to my script the rest of the time.
Okay.
Another thing we tell folks in education is that if you really want to get people's attention, you have to say something that's a little unsettling but true when you open your speech. It will get students' ears perked. So I'm going to do that now. It was absolutely a statement of fact that the board unanimously accepted a legal voluntary resignation on June 6th. And that's because in Virginia, resignation is a separation from service initiated by the employee. It's voluntary only in the fact that the employee initiates the action. In other words, it originates from volition. If the action were initiated by the board, it would be classified as a discharge, not a resignation. So in a legal sense, yes, it was absolutely a statement of fact that the board unanimously accepted a legal voluntary resignation on June 6th. And that's confusing, and it's unsettling. And I think the community needs to think about that. I think they also need to think about that a resignation can be legally voluntary even though the employee did not want to resign. It can be legally voluntary even if the terms of separation from employment were subject to considerable negotiation. It can be legally voluntary even if the source of the employee's desire to separate was animated by feelings they could not effectively perform in the current circumstances of their employment. As Mr. Graham entered the administration building on June 6th, the crowd of over 100 well-wishers were there. They cheered for him and they shouted they loved him and they did not want him to leave. In response, he said, "Thank you so much. This means so much. I love you too. I don't want to leave. You all have been so amazing, but I can no longer stay here." These are not the words of a person who simply saw an opportunity to advance their career and decided to move on. These are the words of a person who has found themselves in an untenable employment situation. Now, there's certainly some folks that will find his words suspect, and I just want to testify personally. I worked with Mr. Graham as both parent and educational professional for nearly 25 years, and I simply can't imagine that his publicly spoken words were anything more than an honest expression of defeat. Not defeat from a person who suddenly finds themselves unfit for a job, but a person who finds that their work is no longer valued under their current employment. And the truth is, the speculation will continue to run wild, and we likely will never know the exact circumstances of Mr. Graham's departure. It does bother me deeply, however, that a man I found to be so incredibly competent and easy to work with for almost 25 years suddenly found himself tearfully saying, "I can no longer stay here." For sure, this was a negotiated separation. Legally, it was a voluntary negotiation. In colloquial terms, however, negotiated. The terms were finalized in a closed session, and legal representation was present to sort the terms for each party. I should also add that a closed session, a little more discombobulation here for you folks, a closed session is not only lawful, it's lawful in this circumstance, it's necessitated. That was 5 minutes.
Sure was.
Man, I should have wrote it in. Well, plenty of evidence. I think there's a preponderance of evidence that there's been considerable foul play with the members of the board. And I just want to mention in my not 5 minutes that we are seeking a recall effort. That is a democratically derived method for just this situation. And it may or may not work, but we will ask the courts to decide to either put our trust at ease or to prove out what we have suspected. Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Tara Grant.
Wow. First of all, I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. And you guys in the back room, I appreciate you. I got to say hello to you. Says a lot. It said a lot a couple weeks ago when Mr. Graham had his big night. And there's just so much love and support for you guys. I want to thank you for those of you that sent in letters and came up here and spoke. It's a very brave and courageous and vulnerable thing to do. Thank you. I certainly hope there's no retaliation because they did that. I've lived here most of my life. I love Radford. I'm a Bobcat, class 90. I took a job here to invest in my community. My kids have been through here, and I thought I would just kind of work here the rest of my life. I just finished my doctorate in educational leadership in December and have aspirations to become superintendent of Radford City Schools. Nice. I am going with Mr. Graham, who's offered me an opportunity to become assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, because I feel like that is the next step. Of course, I would have loved to have done that in Radford when Ms. Denny retired, but you know, things just didn't play out that way. I really never thought I would leave Radford. I love the students. I love the staff. Teachers and staff in Radford are wonderful. I've had great experiences at Bell Heath, McCarg, Radford High School, and with our central office. You guys have been amazing. I do want to highlight Ellen Denny. I know she hates attention, but Ellen Denny, I don't want to say is the brains behind Rob Graham. I just want to say that I don't think, if you're not a teacher and you're not at the school board working and they're working with us, you do not understand the hard work and dedication and love for kids that Ellen has, along with Rob. I just don't want you to get overlooked, because there's a lot of things I want to say, not appropriate right now, but thank you for being a mentor and a leader for women. You're such an example for everyone's wife, daughter, sister. So I think she deserves a standing ovation. So I am coming to you tonight from a place of gratitude, and that's something we really talk to our students about, especially our graduating seniors. You know, they've just followed along and done what they're supposed to do for 12 years. Everyone knows them, and we talk to them, our administrators and our counselors. We get together with them before they go on their graduation walk to be role models for pre-K through 11th grade. They get to walk through their old stomping grounds, and we talk about what gratitude is and who has had an impact on your life. So I'm here today to talk about gratitude. Okay. I am very, very thankful for Rob and Ellen and everyone at the school board. I am so lucky to have worked with Ken Keister for 7 years in Radford, and I'm going to miss him so much. The leadership team the past 2 years have been amazing. Rob got it right when he said he's never worked with a better leadership team, including Daniel Hill, special ed. Ken and Cam Sellers and I at the high school, we have had a blast. And I tell you what, our job is hard and challenging. Thank you, Madison, because she's walked the walk with me. The past 2 years, we have tried to regroup and create order and expectations for students and staff. And that's really hard coming back from COVID, when we had to worry about dress code, masks, cell phone. You know, it's just not sustainable. So, you know, we have worked our way, and we ended this year wonderfully. And so kudos to Radford High School. If you're here and you work at Radford High School, could you please stand up? I know there's people in the hall there in the back room, but thank you so much. You have to love students to be in this job. And I'm totally not reading what I wrote, okay? But I am going to end with one thing. Yes, ma'am. School is love. And if you don't think that, you really don't need to be working in education, because it's never been more important. And, you know, for the students that are out there that are going to wonder why I left them, which I'm not leaving them, I am going somewhere else, but I'll always love them and be there for them. Students, you matter, and you are important. And you need to remember that. Thank you.
All right, next we have Joanna Hunter. Joanna Hunter in this room or the bonus room? Okay, great, thank you.
Hello, good evening. Is this working? Okay. Hi. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joanna Hunter. I'm a sociology professor at Radford University. I'm coming to you in that capacity. I'm also coming to you in the capacity of a mother of a child who's a rising third grader who has an IEP for both autism and ADHD. I also want to say that I'm the product of public schools. All the way from elementary school through my PhD, I'm a strong believer in public schools, so this is not what you think it is. I come to you tonight with comments that come from all of these angles. Let me also just say that every single interaction that I've had with teachers at McCarg Elementary has been nothing short of frankly miraculous, and this is not about you, it's about you. First of all, let me just say that as a scholar of race, identity, and institutions, I have a deep understanding of how these things intersect with each other in organizations like a school board. For example, I know that institutions like this school board are made up of people, of individuals, and that the ways that those individuals find their identities are incredibly complicated and almost never can be boiled down to a one-dimensional category, whether that's political, racial, religious, or gender. I also know that the individuals who sit on this board and those of us who are here to speak in support of various issues all believe that we're here to do the right thing. I also know that institutions cannot function if they do not have the trust of the communities they serve. I have the distinct privilege, and it is a distinct privilege, to teach college students because of my credentials, which also inform what I know to be true. I also know that we all believe that we can, quote, do our own research on issues that are important to us and that bothers us, and I know that we think we're all correct. I also know that the way that propaganda and disinformation works is not by convincing us that the sky is green, but by convincing us that the people who tell us the sky is blue are liars. I also know that I cannot fundamentally change your point of view in a 5-minute comment, but I want you to listen to me because I am your neighbor. I am a member of this community, and as much as you matter, I matter as much as that. Here are some things I know from 20 years as an academic, 10 of them at RU, 5 years of an interaction with this district, almost all of them positive. I know that critical race theory is not a thing being taught to elementary school children. I first encountered it at my PhD program. I know that knowledge is power. I know that being exposed to viewpoints that differ from our own is the most powerful predictor of the ability to engage in the critical thinking that is crucial to democracy. I know that those who seek to ban books are never, ever on the right side of history. I also know, because I know how science works, that children are not getting gender reassignment surgery easily or thoughtlessly. Have you ever in your life interacted with the American healthcare system? You think it's easy? My health insurance company wants a pre-authorization for an EpiPen. I also know that at least one member of this school board has publicly stated that she believes that autism and ADHD are not real biomedical diagnoses, but are the result of, quote, government programming, and that the rise of these rates of these diagnoses is a problem to be solved by school boards. I have the screenshots. Here's the thing. If you believe that autism and ADHD are caused by the government or vaccines or food dyes or bad parenting or anything besides their real biomedical and genetic causes, then you are relieving yourself of all duty to treat children with these conditions with respect. When I read that public Facebook post on Facebook, long before this member was running for school board, I knew that she would blame me, my child's mother, for what she sees in a deficiency in my son, and that I do not trust her to treat him with the respect and dignity that he deserves. This same school board member, again I have the screenshots, has publicly wished to, quote, make the family great again, by which she means a time in which, quote, the blacks and the lower socioeconomic whites, unquote, were less dependent on government programs. Now, reasonable people can disagree about the reasons for all the various social ills that plague our society. As a sociologist, I know that. But to have a member of this body, a publicly elected member, a representative of our city, say things like that is worrisome, to say the least. A body that is responsible for the education of children should know better, should be better. And even if you, anybody who is listening to me tonight, even if you agree with this, I hope that you can see that having a member of our school board publicly state things is the kind of thing that gets Radford in the news and not in a good way. I hope that this board takes the appropriate action to address these issues. There are trainings, there are consultations, there are avenues. By the way, I'm also available as a consultant, some of which have been presented to you tonight. I believe I speak for everybody in this room, and I really truly mean this, that we all want the same thing, a safe, functional, and rewarding school district. We deserve it, we need it, and we do not have it. Your move.
Our last public speaker is Amanda Bush. We've already read a statement from her. Does Amanda still want to speak? Okay. Did I miss? Heather Governor, I'm so sorry. Did I hate to be the closer. No, I'm so sorry. I checked you off and I shouldn't have done that.
Don't you worry. I'm very
We got
persistent.
Sarah Pullman, right? Sarah Pullman came and spoke? Okay, I apologize.
No,
That was
I'm
on me.
it. I'm on it. I'm blushing though. So, when my family located to the New River Valley in 2004, we came as young professionals with a child a year and a half old. And we chose specifically to purchase and set our family in Radford, in large part because of the reputation of the schools, because we are both nerds and we needed support in that regard. My son attended Radford City Schools from kindergarten in 2008 through graduation in 2021. He excelled. He was the valedictorian. And he was well served by the school board, the school district, its administrators, and its educators. His time at Radford prepared him well for his chosen next steps. In his case, he chose college, and he is thriving. And for that, I'm very thankful. However, I came here today because what I'm observing under this current school board is extremely alarming. As has been said many times today, in the last 6 months, we have lost an award-winning superintendent, 2 principals, administrators who have already been sought out and hired by our neighboring communities. There has been insufficient transparency in these events, and transparency I've heard so many times tonight, and I think that is a really key point. If I were relocating into the New River Valley today as a young woman, a young family with a young child, I would seriously pause before considering Radford as the place where I would place my home, explicitly because of the actions of this board. This is particularly sad to see when I consider the likelihood that these board actions may be blinding other potential new community members, including new businesses, from seeing all of the amazing things that Radford has to offer. I know members of this very board have been instrumental in some of the programs in our community that make it strong. And so many others in the broader community have been working diligently for literally decades to make Radford the best it can be. These strides are being overshadowed by current events. I sincerely request that you take a step back and look at the broader impact of your decisions and lack of transparency. If you agree with the decisions this board has made, tell us why. If you do not agree, please do not sit back and stay silent. Any future decisions of this board must be transparent and in the best interest of the community as a whole. Your actions impact not only the students, but the path forward for the city itself. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our public statement. Thank you all so much for your heartfelt thoughts and words. We appreciate it. Next, we have our report of the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So you all have the May update of the VSBA policies, and it's just the first reading. A lot of them are just policy updates that reflect the new code that are placed from the General Assembly. So maybe the interim that you will hire can meet with Elizabeth. I usually, Ms. Christian and I will meet with Ms. Ewing, and we will go through these with her to see what they highlight, and then bring them back to you.
Okay.
And the next one is policy GCQAB, tutoring for pay. And if you all agree with this, you should vote on it because it is a policy that we are changing from the VSBA. But basically, with the new tutoring program that the Virginia Department of Education is offering, we would like to change the wording on that so that our teachers who choose to tutor students can be paid for, if they're tutoring a student they actually teach in their class, they can be paid. It says Radford City Schools can pay them, but we'd like the Virginia Department of Education to pay them too. We don't want to penalize them that for if they're going to work hard like that. We want to make sure that they get paid, and it would come from the Virginia Department of Education. So currently, the policy says, and it's tutoring for pay, it's policy GCQAB, and it states staff members may not be paid by anyone other than the Radford City Public School Board for tutoring students enrolled in a class under their direction. And that was adopted and revised in June 26 of 2012. What I would propose to you for your approval is staff members may not be paid by anyone other than the Radford City School Board or the Virginia Department of Education, VDOE, for tutoring services enrolled in class under their direction.
Okay, so we would need to have a motion to move that to an action item?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have a motion to move policy GCQAB, tutoring for pay, to an action item for this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move that down to our action
Thank you.
item. Thank you.
And I know Officer Martin's here somewhere, I believe. Oh, there he is. Hey, Eric. So I think everybody knows Eric Martin, who's a wonderful partner with us. He oversees our SROs, but also helps with Mr. Goodman, myself, Mr. Howard on many things with safety within our administrators. And he's come to talk to us a little bit about the radio and camera access that RCPD would like to request. So Eric, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Good evening. So I understand you guys had some questions moving forward with the idea of what we'd like to do. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What was some of the questions maybe I can help you guys with and get a better understanding?
I know that Dr. Ray had some questions. Is there anything that you wanted to ask Mr. Calfee?
I don't really understand. I mean, can you give me a explanation for dummies or something?
Okay, the premise of it is obviously we have radio communication within the schools that the SROs, your administrative staff have communication. There's also some other communications. It's what do you call that thing, Stacy? The beacon, whatever you have there that's implemented. Yes, no, with Bell Heat, McCarthy.
Relays?
Yes, the relays. So the SROs wear them, but this would be more of an early warning system for us in place if we can put a radio down into comms to monitor traffic. So if there was an incident, an active incident that would occur at the school, we would have another way of getting this information out quicker, because once we know that these things happen, your phone lines are going to be jammed. We're not going to get the information we need. But if we are hearing active live communication going on, we're getting this stuff out, and this could improve our response time to an active situation. With the cameras being there, it never hurts to have more than one eye. We can't depend on Ms. Witt or any other secretary or SROs just to sit and watch cameras. But if we have cameras that are readily available and we have our communication, are looking at them, we all have officers walking through communication, we have myself in there, that just gives us another early warning system. If we see something, we can act upon it. We don't have to wait till a problem becomes a problem. We address the problem then. As far as it goes with FERPA, this shouldn't have bothered FERPA because we're not recording it, so it shouldn't be a part of a student's permanent record. If it was an issue, then we would obtain search warrants to get that video footage or whatever we need. But when we're dealing with a situation like that, an emergency situation, FERPA doesn't apply. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at, but obviously we would need to find out a way to get more radios. Our older radios that we just upgraded to are not compatible with what you guys have, unfortunately, because that's just the way those things work. So it would be, we would have to look at the price of getting more radios, but you know, in the end, I think that's well worth looking into, to have another.
And we would pay for those.
Yes, ma'am. Unless we can come up with some joint agreement, or we can find a grant. I'm sure there's some grants out there, Stacy, that we've looked at before. I keep putting you on the spot, but.
There was never enough in the grant itself to purchase all the radios that we need.
Okay. And maybe it's not as many as we think we need. It's probably just something we need to step back and look and see exactly how many we do need to make. All we would need in dispatch would be one radio. But to outfit the school to make sure that we have the correct personnel holding on to radios and where we need them, you know, that may be where the big part of it comes in.
Mr. Martin, a couple things. One, thank you for coming in this evening. I know you all have a lot of transitions going on as well and trying to work through it, but there was some questions, and Dr. Ray had more specific questions. I'll be very direct and very transparent with everyone. I want every person in our schools to have any tool necessary to be as effective as possible. Safety is paramount for me. You know, there is nothing more than that. From my life experiences, that's a lesson I've learned. I am a radio nerd, to use a phrase that's been used before as well. The concern, I think, was simply a matter of whenever communication is received to dispatch through the radio traffic, could that incident, if it is understood to be a potential or perceived crime or altercation of something of potential criminal nature, could that then be transferred into a student record? And Jenny, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misstating this at all, could that, I'm trying to think of how to phrase that. If something is observed passively through traffic, it then has to be dealt with at the department level because, you know, there is a situation occurring. That situation involves a student, so maybe chatter between, you know, an SRO at one school or another, or maybe an SRO and another administrator. They're just trying to help out in a circumstance. We want to make sure that that's not instantly becoming something the department has to be involved in through your requirements if we feel like it's something that can be dealt with at the building level. So therefore, it can be handled in that way as a student record as opposed to a potential criminal offense or criminal record. We want to make sure that, again, our students' privacy is met and retained. I don't want to be presumptive, but it sounds like, again, from experience, I know departments used to use ham radios, in essence, programmed ham radios through, you know, security tones, etc. Unless I am mistaken, the schools use a modified GMRS system. So what we're talking about now is the SROs are currently, they have their radio, the department radio. I understand they do also have the communication device, a separate radio for the school. Are we talking about possibly adding a third radio to that officer?
No, that would be what they are currently under.
Okay.
And there would have to be protocols in place as far as what dispatch, what you're listening for. They wouldn't be dispatching for something that we already have an SRO in school for.
Okay.
And if it's something that's going to become a part of the student record that involves law enforcement end of it, then there will be search warrants and those type of stuff to make sure that we follow the guidelines that FERPA has put out there. But as far as, you know, it would have to be, we're listening for key things.
Sure.
You know, it's not, well, they're having an altercation up there. That doesn't involve us dispatching somebody when we already have somebody on scene.
Again, just I'm always confused when people say that I'm not transparent because I'm probably the most transparent person in the world, and that's actually some of the comments that have come across as I share too much. But ultimately, I want to make sure that we give the tools necessary to the people in place to make our students and our administrations safe. But I will never vote for something that will take authority away from our administrators and our teachers. I just don't think it's what we should do. That's not my role.
Right.
You know, but what I'm hearing, and against my interpretation and my understanding, that's not what you're proposing and the department's proposing. It's just a matter of getting a tool necessary, we feel like, in the hands of the SROs. I will be honest, I don't remember any conversation before about access to cameras. I remember the radio conversation. I don't remember anything about cameras. I can appreciate that. I do have a couple of hesitancies about that. Again, as a person who works in a bank, we've seen a lot of things over the years on cameras and transition from the days of going to the old 8mm films to VHS to digital, to hard drive, to cloud storage, and we have to be very careful with that. So I don't know, I think we're all walking a line now of what can we do to help the department provide you the tools to provide our schools a safe environment, but making sure we don't cross the line where we're taking anything away from those in position to make the best judgment possible and trust our people in place. I think it may be a circumstance that perhaps if the rest of us are comfortable, if you're amenable to it, maybe we have an opportunity for you to speak with Dr. Ray.
Sure.
And schedule something there.
No problem.
Again, I don't want to take anyone else's position here, but I was trying to provide some information last time, the differences between the radio systems and the difference between a relay versus a repeater, et cetera.
Okay. Do we have any more questions for this evening?
I think perhaps that may be the thing, is just if we could schedule a different time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
I can probably bring along our captain who does that more.
Okay.
The talk that you talk is a little bit over my capabilities are.
I appreciate it. That was the only question I had at this point, was could it be something that we maybe look at a different time?
Okay. It's not a problem.
Since Dr. Ray wasn't available to be here to do
I think it's well worth the time that we do.
I agree.
invest in it to make sure that we do.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Hey, Eric, while you're here too, do you mind, because you all brought around the new SRO, can you introduce the new SRO?
So we'll have a new SRO starting at the beginning of the school year. His Brad Bowling. He's coming to us from RU. He's got about 17 years of experience. He was a sergeant there. So he'll be coming in. He is a former SWAT team member, so he is bringing a wealth of knowledge. It's not like we're pulling somebody straight off the street here, so he's going to be a good addition to the already strong SRO program that we have.
He was wonderful to meet. Thank you for bringing him by.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And then I would like to request, again, our staff is just absolutely wonderful, and I think they deserve another bonus. So I would like to request that they receive, full-time folks receive a $500 bonus, and our part-time folks receive a $250 bonus, because it's been a very challenging year, and they have knocked the scores out of the park on our SOLs. So and the money that we have for that is certainly a partnership with Stride that we have too. So we still have a pretty good carry forward money too that will help with our debt service and any problems that we may have with the facility projects that we have going on. So if you all are willing to approve that, you would need to move that down as an action item too.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the bonus for employees paid on June 30th, 2023 as described by Mr. Graham?
Yes, I move.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move that down to action items. Thank you for working that out.
Absolutely. And again, that's for all employees that made it through June 30th, just
Gotcha.
to make that clear.
Thank you.
And then you have the attendance report they've really done a good job. We're almost right at 94% as a division. You can see, again, the free and reduced lunch numbers were CEP eligible with the exception of the high school, but Ms. Wood, she was here, but she's done an outstanding job of continuing that program. We were able to have them free breakfast and lunch throughout the entire school year, and it looks like we could start that way too, but I think she's applying to be CEP eligible for the start of the school, so we'd be CEP eligible throughout the division, which would be wonderful. And then you have your discipline report there. I don't, that did go up a little bit as far as the total incidents, but very close to what we had in April, and I think we still have administrators here. I think they could tell you too that they had a really good May, and a lot of it was through testing, and they still had some incidents, but it was nowhere near what we were seeing in September and October of last year. So I think they deserve a round of applause for that.
am I correct that over the summer, our administrators are gonna work on the reporting system and making sure that everybody's up to speed on how we're all inputting that information to make sure it's really good, solid data for everybody to be able to look at? Great.
And that's all I have.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And then we have reports of board members. Does anybody have anything they would like to share?
Madam Chair, I
No, you go
apologize.
ahead.
Personally, I didn't bring anything. It's been a while since I had a meeting at New River. Since Dr. Ray had a schedule conflict this evening, he did prepare a statement that he would like read. So I'll read that on his behalf. Again, this was prepared for him and by him and just read by me. So, on June 1st, 2023, the RCPS board chair received a request from our superintendent to accept his resignation at a special called meeting planned to be on 6/6/2023. The meeting that night was called to discuss something unrelated that the board needed to discuss in person. Since the regular meeting wasn't scheduled until June 20th, the board as a whole felt it necessary to have a special called meeting so we could have a conversation regarding a matter that needed to be addressed. The request for this resignation was as surprising to the RCPS school board as it was to many in our community. We were not expecting it, nor did we ask for it. We were also informed that the superintendent wished to have his attorney present, so we felt we needed to do the same. The request for approval of the resignation of the other two administrators also came as a surprise to the board. As a matter of fact, we heard about both of these through the official announcement from their new employers. We found out only when you did. The narrative written regarding the situation has been anything but the way the board wishes to see our superintendent off to his new job. We are happy for him that he has the opportunity to advance his career in a neighboring county and wish him the best on his new role. We will not attempt to explain comments made in the press and/or on social media regarding the situation. Emotions are high and we are sensitive to that and therefore have chosen to be quiet up to this point. Moving forward, the board wishes to find a new superintendent to lead RCPS who is as passionate about our school division as our community has been demonstrating recently. We are dedicated to finding the right person to move our division forward and to help keep kids the primary focus. The search will begin immediately and the process will include community involvement and transparency. And that's all Dr. Ray had.
I had a few comments. In the spirit of transparency, since that's what everyone wants, closed session often makes that transparency impossible. But I want to speak truth from someone who's been inside to say that Mr. Graham was not fired nor removed from his position. Dr. Grant was not fired. We did not ask Mr. Graham to fire anyone. Resignation or termination was never discussed concerning anyone. In a closed session conversation about the need for strong leadership to support higher expectations concerning student behaviors and accountability, those conversations were obviously not held in confidence, and they became the basis for some lies. Lighting fires based on lies is very destructive to a community. It has done irreparable damage. And when you want to know the truth, go directly to the source, please, in the future. That's all. Good.
Okay.
May I go on record, please? That I don't agree with any of that, Ms. Blankenship. Can you put
you care to expound on that?
No, I don't care to expand on it, and I just don't agree with it at all.
You're saying I'm lying?
I did not say that. I said I do not agree with what you all just said.
Okay,
I respected what you all said. I just want to go on record that I do not agree with it.
That's very unfortunate.
Thank you. Ms. Swing, do you have any comments tonight? Okay, thank you. I have a comment. I've struggled with how to put into words what I feel that I need to say tonight. On one hand, I want to recognize the years of leadership, innovation, team building, growth, support, and student-centered education our superintendent, Mr. Graham, has brought to our division. Mr. Graham has dedicated the majority of his life and career to being a Bobcat. He is beloved by so many in our community and will leave behind a legacy at RCPS. It's pretty big, huge shoes to fill. On the other hand, we also need to recognize and accept that Rob is leaving our division. He's chosen to lead our rivals across the bridge, the Pulaski Cougars, and we wish him success in his new school division, and I hope that we can build partnerships between Radford and Pulaski with him at their helm. Leaving with him to join the Cougars is Dr. Tara Grant, who embodies innovation and growth in every fiber of her being. Her life and career have also been dedicated to being a Bobcat. We wish her success as she grows in the next steps of her journey. We also have to say goodbye to Kelly Lincolnhoker, who is headed to Salem Schools, and we hope that she has a great future ahead leading their high school and beyond. All that being said, and all the tears that have been shed, change is hard. I look forward to our Radford staff continuing to be outstanding and innovative. I look forward to our Radford students continuing to grow and learn. I look forward to our Radford division working together to pick ourselves up, to dust ourselves off, and to move towards our collective goals. Thank you, and go Bobcats. All right, do we have any other business before our action items? Okay. Our action items, Title I, Title II, and Title IV Student Support and Academic Enrichment for 2023-2025 applications.
So, Lori, you want to come forward? Thanks. Lori Keister is our elementary literacy coordinator and is assuming the Title I, Title II, and Title IV grants this year. It's been great to have her on board and have her help, and so she's going to present those grants to you, and then if you have any questions, her and I both can answer them together. You guys want me here? Okay. So, like Mrs. Denny said, I'm the elementary literacy coordinator, and I'm overseeing these three grants, thankfully with lots of help from Mrs. Denny. And we're just going to go from, I'm just going to get thumbs up here. You grab the keyboard? Oh, yeah, I'll grab a keyboard. All right. So, we have to cover 3 federal grants that we write every year, Title I, Title II, and Title IV. And the first one is our largest grant, which is Title I. And of course, Title I is we receive financial assistance for our students in schools with low economic families. Right now, we're around 61% of free and reduced lunch students. So we write that grant. It is large, it is complicated, but it is worth it. We receive lots of great money from that. And so with that, this year we successfully implemented the Title I school-wide program. Instead of students having, permission slips, we were able to serve all students. If we saw a student in need, we gave them
reading support. This would not be possible without an incredible reading team that we have in place, along with collaboration with our teachers and special education teachers. The Title I program also supports the Virginia Literacy Act. Virginia is leading the nation in the science of reading. We're one of the first states to implement this. It goes into effect next year. Mrs. Denny talked last year about the Virginia Literacy Act. It's been amended since then. Unanimously through the General Assembly. Now, instead of, it was K through 3, now it's K through 8. We are required by law to support our students with evidence-based reading. So we're really going to spend this year, the Title I program supports that. Again, Title I is federally funded. The Virginia Literacy Act is a state mandate. So they are two separate things, but of course we work together. And it's listed up here for you to see what the Virginia Literacy Act will entail. So our Title I budget, we get $358,339.88, and that all goes to our personnel salaries. We believe that we need people in the building supporting our students at risk. And so this year, our grant allocation with that money will have 3 full-time title teachers, 3 paraprofessionals, and a quarter of the Title I coordinator's salary. And of course, that covers personnel benefits, and we're required to have a homelessness set aside. Any questions about the Title I grant? Great, and we know we wanted to hear from our parents. Title I, our requirement is family engagement, which as it should be. And so we asked our parents what kind of title nights they would like to see. We had great success this year and hope to take our parents' input and have some great events next year as well. Our parents really liked, 75% wanted events showcasing student work. You want to come back to school and see what your students have done. We had over 800 people in Belle Heath in the building supporting our teachers and their students and with their living museum. So it was awesome. People are in the building, and Ms. Swing, you were there. It was great. It was awesome. So we are excited for that. And of course, we asked our families, what do you think the title money should go for? And they 85% agreed salaries. So we're grateful for that. Moving on to the Title II grant, we apply for this for academic achievement by increasing the number of qualified teachers in the classroom. We create a needs assessment of what grade or where this person could go, and based on the needs assessment, we are using this money to fund a full-time classroom teacher in 2nd grade. Our data is at the bottom that shows that our rising 1st graders really need a smaller class size so they can receive the instruction from our incredible 2nd grade teachers to get what they need to be prepared for Belle Heath. So we'll be using the money that way to, again, pay for salary and partial benefits for an extra teacher. Any questions about Title II? And again, that's the grant allocation, what we'll spending, and then yeah, that's all the things. All right, and then on to Title IV, which is student support and academic enrichment grants. Again, we look at a needs assessment and where do we need support. And this year, Radford City, through our needs assessment, saw that our English language learners need additional support. Our teachers need support, and our students do. So based on that assessment, we will, this is our allocation for $25,606.79, and we'll pay for 1 part-time paraprofessional. That again will work with our Title I team and just providing support for our English language learners. And all of that money will go to their salary. So that was quick. Any questions? Great, I really appreciate your time. Thank you guys.
So the board has to vote to
Yes.
approve it, and then you have to sign it.
Yes. Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the Title I, Title II, Title IV, Student Support and Academic Enrichment 2023-2025 applications as presented?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. I will sign these. And we have Title III application.
Jordan's here for it.
So these are
Okay.
separate, 3 separate. Gotcha.
Yeah, one's Title I, one's Title II, and one's Title IV.
Okay, my grant is under Title III, which is also
joined by Title IV, as Lori Keister was talking about. So, as you know, the Title III application is yearly, and the monies are not much because our population is not high, but I'll go through it. Okay, so the purpose of the program is the overreaching purpose of Title A, Part A, Title III is known as the English Language Acquisition, Language Enhancement, and Academic Achievement Act, is to also support the provisions outlined under each principle under the Code, Virginia's approved ESEA Flexibility Plan, and ensure that English learners, including immigrant children and youth, attain English language proficiency and meet the same challenging academic content and achievement standards as other students are expected to meet. And then the core language program, I'll just do an overview of that. So the core language program, we mainstream our students in the content classrooms. However, as an EL teacher, I do facilitate with the teachers, and I also have created a small group in the mornings to work with students in the English language development in the most populated grades. The program overview is, this is just a section 3116 of the ESEA, requires each subgrantee accepting Title III funds to submit local plan that describes how the Title III funds will be used to provide supplemental services to improve the English language proficiency and academic achievement of ELs. This includes the provision of language instruction educational programs, LIEPs, and activities that increase the knowledge and skills of teachers who serve ELs. All services provided to ELs using Title III funds must supplement and not supplant the services that must be provided to ELs under the Title IV, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Equal Education Opportunities Act. And the principles of supporting student mastery of college and career readiness reading. This is all included in the grant of why, what the things are, this program is supposed to do to support students to get ready for career in the high school, meeting annual measurement objectives, AMO targets for reading and mathematics to demonstrate academic growth for all students and subgroups over time, and then encouraging the students are taught by highly qualified and effective teachers and providing meaningful professional development support to promote effective instruction to increase student achievement. Okay, and the fundings, well, my money is not very much, so most of my funding, I'll skip that. We know who the L's are. Students 3 to 21, they're enrolled in school, they're born outside the U.S., we're speaking another language other than English in the home, and they have trouble understanding or communicating in English in the classroom. Our number of RCPS students per grade in this last 2021 to 22, we didn't have any in K in first grade. We had most of them in 3 and 4th grade, and 8th grade and 12th grade. This year, our numbers have changed a lot. A lot of them increased we had 2 in K and 3 in 1st and 2nd. It didn't have any in 3rd, but we have a great number in 4th grade. We had 6 kids. And then in 5th grade, 3. They're distributed probably evenly throughout there, but our biggest number was in the 4th grade. And here's my little budget. My budget is only $1,459.95, and all of it goes to supplies and materials as of now. And I do switch that out to Title III, now to the 3rd section, 3,000 if it's needed. And that is I have to do the GEPA in my plan, and that's my GEPA statement for my application. And is there any questions regarding it?
You do a lot with a very little.
Yes. I work really hard. I work really closely with
right.
content teachers.
Yes. Thank you for taking care of those students.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the Title III application?
I make the motion that we approve the Title III application for the coming school year.
Okay, I have a motion. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Charlie.
And then we've got the 2023 VSBA Delegate Assembly Delegate and alternate delegate. So we need to decide who of the 5 of us is going to be our delegate and alternate delegate. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do we we have any volunteers who would like, do we know when the assembly is?
Oh, the VSBA conference is in November.
Showing November 16th.
That's correct.
Yes.
And I've already made plans to attend.
Did you already get?
I told Carrie.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I have to be delegate. I just already planned to go.
I mean, if you've already sent in the paperwork.
Since you're gonna be there.
Since I'm gonna be there.
So can we,
If I would be happy to represent if everyone else is in that agreement.
okay,
I have a scheduled call, so I'll be there.
okay. Okay with that, Gloria?
No,
Happy to-
thank you.
To trust you to represent us well.
You all right with Jane being the alternate?
Absolutely.
Okay. And we need to have an alternate just in case something comes up. And I'm happy to go, and Chris can't go. Gloria, I don't know if you want to be the alternate?
No, thanks.
Okay. I will volunteer to be the alternate delegate then. Does that work for everybody? Yeah. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the 2023 VSBA Delegate Assembly Delegate as Ms. Swing and alternate delegate myself, Jenny Reif? For the
So
upcoming-
moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes, and I will make my plans to be there. All right, and then we need to have the policy for the GCQAB tutoring for pay. Do I have a motion to approve that policy?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve policy GCQAB, tutoring for pay, as amended and recommended by Mr. Graham.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
And then we have the bonus as presented by Mr. Graham for our employees paid on June 30th, 2023. This is for our employees, for our full-time and
part-time.
And part-time.
500 full-time, 250 part-time for those who finish the June 30th year.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the bonus as explained by Mr. Graham?
I make the motion that we approve the bonus for employees, full-time and part-time, 500, as designated by Mr. Graham, for employees through June 30th.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Wonderful.
All right, do we have anything else on our action items?
No, ma'am.
All right, I need a motion to convene in closed, please.
Madam Chair, I move that we go into closed session under Virginia Statute 2.2-3711. Closed meetings authorized for certain limited purposes. A, public bodies may hold closed meetings only for the following purposes. 1, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, and evaluation of performance of departments or schools of public institutions of higher education where such evaluation will necessarily involve discussion of the performance of specific individuals.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. We're in closed. need a motion to convene in regular session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I need us to certify our closed meeting, please.
Madam Chair, I make a certification of the closed meeting that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law, and only such public business matters as were identified in motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in meeting by this public body.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I need a motion to approve the Personnel Matters 1.0 as amended in closed.
So moved.
A motion, of a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, and I also have another motion for our interim superintendent.
Madam Chair, I move that the board appoint Dr. Roger Collins as the division's acting superintendent effective July 1st, 2023, and that the board delegate to the chair the authority to execute a contract with Dr. Collins, incorporating the terms as agreed by all parties.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Dr. Collins and give some background information about him. Before we vote, he comes to us with outstanding qualifications. He will serve as acting superintendent until such time as the board can conduct a search and retain its next superintendent. Dr. Collins has a long and distinguished career as a public educator. Beginning in 1983, Dr. Collins has served as a teacher, an assistant principal, a principal, an assistant superintendent, and a division superintendent in Virginia Public School divisions. Between 2003 and 2014, he served as the superintendent of schools in Nelson County, Virginia. He has served as an adjunct professor at both the University of Virginia and Shenandoah University. For the last several years, he has been an associate clinical professor in the Graduate Educational Leadership Program at James Madison University. In that program, he has taught and mentored many public school professionals seeking to attain the skills and credentials to qualify for superintendent licensure. Dr. Collins has served as an executive coach and mentor of numerous newly appointed superintendents throughout Virginia. Dr. Collins is an experienced, collaborative, and relationship-driven educational leader who will provide the Radford City Schools with outstanding leadership as we go through this period of transition.
Thank you, Ms. Swing. All in favor? I don't know if we need to do a roll call or if we can. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Congratulations to Dr. Roger Collins, and we look forward to working with him here at Radford City Public Schools. Let's see, we don't have any student or tuition matters tonight. The date for our next organization.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just,
yes.
Something was brought to my attention through a text message that earlier in this meeting, and I want to clarify. It was when I read a statement that was presented to me to be from Dr. Ray that was a mistake. It was requested of him that he prepare a statement he believed to be from the entire board. And again, I want to be completely transparent. I make mistakes regularly. I own up to them. I fix them if I can, and I try not to repeat them. So I wanted to apologize to Dr. Ray and to anyone else, everyone else for that matter, because I was presented that information stating that it was to be read on his behalf whenever actually his intent was to do as he was asked and present a statement on behalf of the board as a whole. So I want to be clear about that, and I apologize for that mistake. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I'll say I apologize for miscommunicating to the rest of the board what the intentions behind Dr. Ray's statement was. The date for our next organizational board meeting is July 11th, 2023 at 6 p.m. here in the School Administration